want to start here with this offseason, grading the offseason portion. I wanted to talk about the Clippers first because we haven't talked since they made the John Collins trade. We really haven't discussed them all that much this offseason because that was kind of their first splash that they made. It feels like this combined with while we wait for potentially Bradley Beal, and I don't know if they're also going to sign Chris Paul and create a rival UNC team in the Western Conference to go up against the old head Warriors, which, by the way, I wish I remembered who said this on Twitter, but they said come up with a new nickname if the Warriors sign Al Horford, and someone said the near death lineup. By the way, this is another amazing fact here. So they traded for John Collins. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure the youngest player in their rotations is 28-year-old John Collins. The Clippers.
The Clippers?
Yeah, I think everyone else on their roster is at least 29, and most of them are 30 and up.
How old's Amir Coffey? Or is he? Are we not
counting? He's not signed right now.
Oh, okay.
He's not on their roster, and also I think he's sneaky old too. Oh, they just waived Jordan Miller. So they just waived Jordan Miller, who was the youngest player on their roster, I think, at 25, or whoever they just drafted that will be out of the NBA in 3 years, just like every other Clippers pick that we've had post Terrence Mann. I feel like probably is also fairly young, or Cam Christie or whatever. Yeah, Coffey's even 28 years old. Jeez. So they're right now the Clippers are very much going all in. They didn't want to pay Norm Powell, so they decided to trade Norm Powell. They traded Norm Powell, and then they moved him for John Collins. The Heat get Norm Powell. The Jazz basically get a salary dump and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson, who I'm assuming they're going to buy out, one of the two at least, probably Kevin Love.
I mean, Kyle Anderson is like a player. Kevin Love's done, you know, like,
yeah, I mean, I've always loved slow-mo, but like, he's pretty washed at this point. And like, we'll see, because the Jazz, they probably could benefit from having a single veteran in their rotation since they decided to move on from Colin Sexton and they bought out Jordan Clarkson, and we'll talk about their offseason in a little bit. But how did we feel about this deal for the Clippers? Getting John Collins, trading Norm Powell, and then potentially opening up a spot for Bradley Beal in the rotation as well.
I love it for what they have going on. I mean, that's like a great front court partner for Harden. Like kind of fits with Zoo and kind of like what they're doing. I know he's not like a sharpshooter from three necessarily, but like he can space. He's a vertical threat, like for Harden, and like lob dunking, like
good rebounder.
Good rebounder. You get him like, I mean, like, I know Norm Powell was like very good last year, but like is also kind of becomes redundant when like the rubber meets the road, like in the playoffs, like a little bit. Like, you know, he's more of like a regular like a regular season like innings eater than he is like a, you know, an actual like difference maker in the playoffs for like at this point in his career. So I thought they did very well to get like a real player back for Norm Powell, who like apparently, even though he was like a sub all-star, like the first 60 games of the season, apparently didn't have like a ton of trade value.
Well, also just two thoughts on the Norm Powell trade value thing.
Yeah.
First part of it is that Norm Powell is the Clippers should just be called the sneaky old Clippers. Norm Powell's 31, going on 32, and wanted a bag. And the Clippers basically said, look, you were great for us, but also you benefited a ton from playing with James Harden. We had a great context for you, and we were able to maximize your skill set with what, you know, what we got the most out of Norm Powell that we possibly can get out of Norm Powell. We don't want to be the team that gets stuck paying Norm Powell, essentially. So they didn't want to get stuck paying the 31-year-old version of Norm Powell, right? Like, they didn't want a 32-year-old Norm Powell. They wanted to They felt like he just had his best season. He's never going to get any better than this, which fair. Honestly, Norm could have been most improved player. He was, like you said, at one point was getting all-star buzz. Like, he had an amazing scoring season. But also, what did we see this offseason from the NBA? The NBA moved away from two guards who get buckets and who don't really provide anything else, even though Norm is one of the better versions of that because he's super athletic. He can really shoot. He's a great finisher. He gets to the line. He's also a huge defensive liability. As you said, there might be some diminishing returns in the playoffs due to that. And when you are trying to, angle as the Clippers for not only this year, but potentially 2 years down the line, you can't be paying Norm Powell $25 million a year and expect to $25-30 million, however much he wants, and expect to be able to get off that contract easily because you just spent years trying to trade Norm Powell. And even when he was good, he had no trade value. So now it's got to a point where I think that the Heat did a great job just getting him for basically nothing, obviously. But from the Clippers' perspective, like you said, to get John Collins, who fits a need, they needed a power forward. The Clippers, the thing I love about the Clippers offseason, because not only do they do this, but it seems like they're going to get Beal in the next day or two. And then on top of that, they also signed Brook Lopez. And I was not crazy about that move at first, but now it's like, okay, so you're going to play probably some small ball five with John Collins at the 5. You're going to play Zubac a ton of minutes, and then you're probably only going to play Brook Lopez like 20 minutes a game and try to save him for the playoffs. So then you have a ton of different looks you can go with in the playoffs with your center rotation, with your big rotation. And once again, with the Clippers, it would always come down to what does Kawhi Leonard look like when we get to the playoffs, but you've at least mitigated some of those concerns if you are able to go out and add Bradley Beal and you have all of these, a versatile lineup of bigs. And I think they probably just keep the roster as it is. They go 10 deep with guys who are 28 and up, but a few guys in their prime, a few guys in their post prime, and just a really good 10-man rotation. I feel like, because they brought back Batum too. They have 10 legit good NBA players.
Yeah. And I'm welcoming Harry to the stage right now so he can discuss the hated Clippers. His beloved Warriors have the rivalry.
Huge rivalry.
Yeah, the rivalry.
The heat between those two teams.
I would say I agree with everything Trill just said about the Clippers. I think that they are going to be. I think they're pretty much going forward. I think this is probably their best case scenario that they could have kind of pulled together, given how taxed out they are, how they've avoided a Bucks situation. We're on year 3 of me kind of writing them off and thinking that they're going to slide into the abyss, and they somehow find a way to kind of reinvent their team a little bit more every offseason, and it works. Harry, welcome.
I'm so happy to be here. I heard you guys talking a little bit about the Clippers. I have very little to say about them.
Good, awesome.
This is the Warriors fan mindset about the Clippers. I don't think about you at all.
Exactly, but I'm happy to be here. How are you guys?
Doing well. I personally think that the Clippers have had about as perfect of an offseason as you can have while having basically nothing of value, is my whole thing on this. What did they have going into this offseason? They didn't have a first round pick. They didn't want to spend money far into the future. They didn't want to trade future assets. They don't have good young players. And they ended up adding Brook Lopez, John Collins, and potentially Bradley Beal. And they really only lost Norm Powell, if you think about it, from their rotation.
If they get Bradley Beal, I'm going to be so mad. Dude, why
That's a lock. It's a lock at this point.
I know. It does seem like it, but why can't the Warriors get fucking cool buyout guys?
Yeah, I mean, nothing ever goes right for the Golden State Warriors is the thing that we all know and love.
Things spoken moments before the Al Horford signing is announced.
I didn't know you were a Lakers fan. You were Lakers fan coded. To come up here and complain about how nothing ever goes right for you.
Yeah. It is true that I am it's more just that I am when everything goes wrong for the Warriors, i.e. we finish in second place instead of first place, I am what is supposed to happen next is Kevin Durant is supposed to come to our team. And so the fact that something else is happening entirely is kind of like, breaking. It is breaking. Like it's been some dark Warriors years the last couple of years. The group chats are getting very evil.
Well, we were literally just talking about the fact that we tried to delay this episode and have you come on. I was like, we'll record Wednesday because the Warriors will have done a single transaction by then, right? And there's been nothing. All we've gotten is reports about the Warriors, which is that they might bring back Melton, Horford. They've been interested, but he might retire. They obviously were interested in Bradley Beal at one point, but it sounds like this Clippers thing is virtually a lock. Real quick, if I were Bradley Beal, once again, I'm not going to act like I'm Bradley Beal here, because Bradley Beal very obviously has his own goals and objectives and probably wants to live in a warm city. That's kind of always been his thing. But if I were Bradley Beal, I think I would go to the Bucks, to be honest. Like that, to me, if you're looking to revamp what you can be. Now, look, do I think offensively he's going to be great playing off of James Harden? Yes. But like, if you're Bradley Beal, your goals and objective are like, go somewhere, get buckets, get paid again, kind of revamp my reputation around the league. Being the second or third option on the Bucks sounds like, to me, the better way of going about that.
Definite second option on the Bucks. That's the problem, is the Clippers. He would definitely be the third option on the Clippers. Maybe even fourth, depending on how you feel about the ascendancy of Zubac.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say, is that the report was that in order to get Miles Turner to sign there, they told him that he was going to be the second option with Giannis, which very obviously feels like something you just tell a free agent to get them to go there. But at the same time, I mean, Bradley Beal obviously can, he can dribble a basketball, which he already has an advantage over Miles Turner in that situation. But you're right. Like when Kawhi's healthy, like Beal might be third or fourth in the pecking order. He's probably banking on Kawhi not being healthy and him getting a ton of shots.
Horst, by the way, said that because he will be the second option behind Kuzma when they trade Giannis. So technically not a lie.
When they blow it up in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have to give the Clippers an A for this offseason.
That's how I feel. I think they've done really well. I mean, not Ness or anything like that. But while you were gone, Trill, I was just saying, like, I've written the Clippers off. I feel like 3 straight postseasons to like slide into like the morass that like the Bucks are and like the Suns are sliding into, where it's like you have no assets, like you're fucked. They've been in that situation for like 3 years, and they keep wriggling their way out of this jam, like and just fielding another competent team, winning 48 games again, like
making Zach Lowe mad for he was pissed again at them on this, because I think it was Howard Beck was the guest, and he was like, the Clippers actually have the 4th best winning percentage since the Paul George trade. And he's like, cool, great, I don't give a shit, basically.
Dude, if the Heat or the Raptors had the 4th best winning percentage since their trade, he would never shut up about that, like ever.
Bobby Marks, I'm telling you, Bobby Webster, this guy, I wanted to write the Raptors off, but there's something about this team, they keep pulling me back in.
The money is what it is. I think, look, I think Clippers have done some of the best of anyone this offseason. So I agree. I think they didn't have a lot to work with.
I picked the Clippers like when the playoffs started. They were my sort of like, I think the Clippers are going to come out of the West.
Sam
pick.
Also did.
Yeah.
And hell yeah. And I'm licking my chops ready to do it again. They're gonna have like 40, 7 wins, be the 6th seed, and I'm gonna be like, the most talented team left is the
Can Udoh do it again in the regular season? Does he have anything left to prove? He got paid again. Like I kind of think that like he'll have a better supporting cast, probably, at least in the aggregate here in the regular season. He won't have to, if they get Beal, he won't have to carry quite as much. But I kind of look at it like, is this the team that shouldn't really give a shit about the regular season? Because they have enough talent. I think they can coast to a top 5 or 6 seed in the West. And seeding and playoff positioning has basically never mattered for them. No matter where they end up, they can never get to the conference finals unless there's literally a pandemic. So that's kind of how I look at it. I actually like them as a regular season team, to be clear. Like, I think that they could easily be, if they gave a shit about the regular season, they could be a top 3 or 4 seed in the West. But, they have nothing to prove in the regular season anymore. I feel like that they're all stamped, at least in the regular season. All right, so let's move on to another team that made a trade. We are going to include the draft in this, but the Clippers, they never hit on draft picks. They only had a second round pick. Another team that was involved in a trade here was the Washington Wizards, who they actually traded away one of Sam's favorite players in the NBA. RIP. Kelly Olynyk.
Bad vibes. The first bad move they've made all offseason.
Did you see how happy their fans were that they traded away Kelly? They never wanted him on the team because he tried to fight Kelly Oubre in the, what was that, 2017 playoffs? Sam's favorite year ever.
That was glorious. That is one of my favorite games ever. Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals in 2017. Here's what I'll say. Washington Wizards fans were dancing in the street in New Jersey, reports are saying, when this happened. This is bad vibes. This is why the Washington Wizards are a joke of a franchise, because you chase away all your stars that you get. So
the gap between the Kelly Oubre game and Bill Simmons calling it the Kelly Oubre game was 15 seconds.
You mean the Kelly Olynyk game?
Oh, excuse me, Kelly Olynyk game.
It's very confusing to have two Kelly O's that are on the opposite sides of the look spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Except there will never be a Kelly Oubre game. There is no.
First off, how dare you? There was a 2-week period when he first joined the Philadelphia 76ers where he shot way above his head, and every game was the Kelly Oubre game. Then he got hit by a car, and he hasn't been the same since.
Okay. I do remember that.
So put that for aura. Meanwhile, Kelly Olynyk was part of the Hamptons detachment that was set to recruit Kevin Durant alongside Tom Brady. So multiple GOATs in the Celtics recruiting pitch to Kevin Durant.
Is that real?
That's true. That is a 100% fact that Kelly Olynyk was one of the players the Celtics sent. Everyone on the timeline was like, fuck!
How could he have said no?
Yeah.
How could he have turned down someone with that much aura?
A Canadian god. Kamaloop's is greatest that we've ever had. There is a very funny video of Kelly Olynyk trying to eat like a Chipotle burrito in like 2 bites, and he like basically does it, which is pretty cool.
He's kind of built like a food challenge guy.
Now he will be doing it in Texas. Perfect. Tex-Mex. He's going to love it.
Yeah.
So he's going to San Antonio for basically salary dumps, Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley. I don't know. Maybe they like one of those. I don't know what this team is, like this Wizards team. Like,
does it matter?
No, it doesn't, because they're still, I think they owe their top 8 protected pick to the Knicks next year. Spoiler alert, they will be keeping that pick because this will be one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the NBA. I like them taking a flyer on Cam Whitmore.
Sure.
He's a DMV guy, balled out at Summer League, was supposed to be a top pick, ended up falling in the draft, didn't really get a chance with the Rockets, had some moments, but nothing special. And now he gets to restart, but like they're so big on this team. You know what their big rotation is, Sam?
So it's Alex Sarr.
Mm-hmm.
I should remember the other
Rashawn Holmes.
Rashawn Holmes. Okay. Yep. Is there anyone? Who's the other one?
There's someone else, and I can't even remember who. It's
Dylan Jones. Is he a center?
No, Dylan Jones is like 2-3. Yeah. This is the whole team. Is that their whole team is built out of guards that play either the 2 or the 3. Will Riley, Cam Whitmore, Trey Johnson. Like, they have basically built an entire team out of just guard / wings and then one singular big. Tristan Vucevic, there you go. Corey Kispert. It's unbelievable. Sarr's a shooting guard, someone said. Basically, Sarr is just a 7-foot shooting guard as well.
Dog, I forgot CJ McCollum's on this team, dude.
CJ McCollum's on this team. I was going to say, so their moves beyond, I like the Cam Whitmore trade for them. It's a smart flyer just to do, like a low risk move on a guy who might have some pedigree and could turn out to be something more than he's shown so far in the NBA. But I also feel as though right now, basically this team is kind of just like the vets on this team are Rashawn Holmes could be bought out. I feel like
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart's still on this team.
Yeah.
So we have Marcus Smart, CJ McCollum, and Chris Middleton.
Yep.
I'm hearing less about Marcus Smart these days.
Well, you don't listen to this podcast.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm giving the people episode by episode updates.
Yeah, we used to hear about him all the time when he was a Celtic, and now I don't know.
You're going to hear about him again when he's a Celtic again.
Sam got chills all over his body yesterday because I texted him that he might get bought out.
And he come home.
No. He's coming home.
You can't. Don't sing that song anymore.
He is DPOY Taylor Horton Tucker, dude. The PR campaign that the Boston Celtics waged to get him that stupid award is insane.
Incredible slander.
How dare you? How dare you? This is
honestly might be the BMM's greatest accomplishment ever,
dude.
This is absurd. This is absurd. How many times has Jaren Jackson Jr. been to the Eastern Conference Finals? 0.
Incredible point. Thank you.
Yeah, I just like to point out is that who was going to get that? So
special talent. BMM. We appreciate their work.
Well, you wait. The Celtics are going to make a playoff run without Jason Tatum, and it starts with Marcus Smart coming home.
That would be so evil, dude. A Marcus Smart led.
Dude, let me just say, everyone would hate that because Celtics fans would despise that because Tatum is their precious baby boy, and that would open him up to more slander.
We're not talking about this anymore.
Marcus Smart, wait, one last piece of fan fiction. Marcus Smart comes back to take Peyton Pritchard's starting spot from him. It's perfect.
Okay, actually let him cook. Let him cook. I don't want Celtics fans getting any joy out of next season, except for Sam, because it'll be very funny. Everyone will be yelling at him on the podcast for fucking up Peyton Pritchard's spot.
This whole next season is going to be everyone being like, "Why are you booing me? I'm right." It's going to be everyone hating me because I'm going to be the only one who likes it, and everybody else, every other Boston fan is going to be in the worst Piston shit you've ever seen in your life.
There are many teams that apparently are interested in bringing in Smart on some sort of buyout, but it doesn't. None of Middleton, Smart, or CJ McCollum are going to have any trade value. I think they're probably going to hold on to them, at least CJ McCollum and Middleton, probably until the deadline. Their goal is to open up cap space for next offseason. There's more cap space next offseason. They really don't have anyone they have to pay on the roster right now. So this is the additions. Branham, CJ McCollum, Dylan Jones, Kelly Olynyk, Blake Wesley, Cam Whitmore. They let go of... Olynyk. Oh yeah, sorry. They traded him already. Yes. Yeah, and he's listed on NBA.com in both the additions and departures. So he will be.
Okay, gotcha.
He will be playing for both the Washington Wizards and the San Antonio Spurs next year, according to NBA.com. Which honestly, great. I hope he gets twice the paycheck. But the departures are Sadiq Bey, Jordan Poole, who they traded in the CJ McCollum trade, which was virtually a salary dump for Jordan Poole, your guy, Harry. And then Kelly Olynyk to the Spurs. I thought they were going to keep Kelly Olynyk, to be honest, just because I feel like they could use a stretch big. They could use a big on this roster in general. I like the idea of Kelly on a rebuilding roster while guys like Trey and Bub and Cam Whitmore all develop their game. But I don't really know how to feel about this offseason at all. I like Trey Johnson and Will Riley. It's a pretty decent draft. The Cam Whitmore flyer was good, but everything else is just kind of like, this feels like we're aiming for next draft and next offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like that they are kind of trying to like hobble this team, but it seems like they made an ill-fitting roster almost on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what I don't like when young teams have a lot of overlap. Like, I understand. I think it was great value to get Trey Johnson at like 6, but like, you when young guys are all kind of like cannibalizing each other, it kind of starts to get, you lose your value pretty quick. That's why Cam Whitmore is on the Wizards right now.
Right, exactly.
Happened within Houston with the Rockets, and like that's fine if you're like good like the Rockets were last year, but you were literally the worst team in the NBA last year. So like,
I think the reason they got Cam is because they realized that Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson will combine for a single rim attempt every game. And they're also playing a perimeter-based center. So they're like, all right, we need someone who can get to the basket. And Cam, at a minimum, will cut off the ball, will get downhill in transition. And if he can ever figure out, even a passable handle, he probably is someone that can get to the rim a ton. So that's probably the idea behind getting him. But I do agree that, like, this team doesn't really, it makes literally no sense. And the overlap and positional glut stuff is something they're going to have to figure out a year from now.
Yeah, that's my only issue with it, because my thing is like, who care? Like you're gonna be bad anyway, Like it's not like, it's not anything you need to like care
about. Your team
about.
doesn't need to make sense.
Yes, you're not at that point yet, but I do care about it when it's impacting like real blue chip guys. Now, like, is Bub Carrington a blue chip guy? Probably not. He's probably like a starter to,
but you've had 4 lottery picks. You got to hope that one of these guys are, we're getting to a point where like you need to start hitting on your lottery picks, and you need those guys to develop and have a developmental context.
Well, and like, again, the Wizards, I think they were this way. They're building a team that is like custom made to be ready to have a Cooper Flag or like that type of hyper blue chip, like guy dropped in the middle of it. And then the rest of the team makes a lot of sense all of a sudden, but if these guys are kind of cannibalizing each other while that's going on, guys are building bad habits. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, like, do you want like Cam Whitmore to be used to taking like 20 attempts a game, and then next year when they get Cam Boozer, like he's got to like, you know what I'm saying? Like
take a back seat
and do some of this other stuff. So like, it's fine for like a flyer, but like, it's not a slam dunk, I guess is what I'm saying. Like for a developmental context, I think this is like a C to me is kind of how I'm feeling about the Wizards. I don't think they did anything wrong.
It was nice to get off the Jordan Poole money because he obviously was going nowhere with them. They clear cap space for next offseason. They're going to tank again this year.
Yep.
And I like this, the swing on Trey Johnson.
Yes.
I think I got yelled at yesterday because on TikTok, when I did a redraft of the last draft, I think I took Alex Sarr 11. And I was like, okay, so he's a big who doesn't rebound, a big who can't score inside, who doesn't get to the basket, who doesn't do traditional dirty work. He is also someone who is a perimeter-based player but can't shoot right now. He's a decent passer for a big. He can handle the ball a little bit. And defensively, he has some real upside. But like, I feel like people just say, well, he's just going to be a stretch big. And it's like, okay, but he has to be like better than Miles Turner for me to think that he's going to be like a starting level player in the NBA, because you're going to need to start another big with him in order to have a functional team. I feel like you have to start double bigs with a player like him, because he's not going to do the traditional big shit. And then you're going to, so like he needs, if he's going to be a 4 is what I'm trying to say. And so the bar for him needs to be like, he becomes a knockdown shooter. And right now he shoots 30% from 3, 30% from mid range, just under 70% from the line. And as a prospect had even worse numbers. He got a little bit better this year, but like, I need to see serious steps from Sarr before I'm like just taking him number whatever in a redraft just because he was the second pick in the draft, and because it was a weird draft year, and because he got a ton of opportunity this year. Like, they were the worst team in the NBA. It's not all his fault, but he was definitely a large part of that. And you knew when you drafted him that he was a project, but like, I'm not sold on him yet, is what I'm trying to get at. So I think going with the C here is totally fine for them. Another team that was involved in this trade, the Miami Heat, we talked about it. They got Norm Powell. They drafted everyone's favorite guy who quote unquote fell in the draft and looks like the worst player in summer league so far in Kasparis Yakuchonis. They also acquired Simone Fontecchio. They brought back Davion Mitchell on a 2-year deal, and they lost Duncan Robinson. Now, I don't want to overreact to Summer League.
However,
there is a large amount of information that Kasparis Yakachones is supposed to be an on-ball guard that can't dribble against ball pressure and is not athletic enough to get by guys. And it's bled over badly into Summer League. He is shooting 9% in his first 3. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Kasparis Yakachones is shooting 9% from the field.
It's fine.
In Summer League.
Get him up, young fella.
He is shooting 9% from the field in Summer League. Have you heard this one? Kasparis Yakachones is shooting 9% from the field. It is.
Yeah, but did he lose confidence?
He had 8 personal fouls in the game yesterday.
Dog.
8, because you can get up to 10 personal fouls.
Okay.
He has made 2 shots in the first 3 games. He at least has gotten to the line a little bit. That's the nicest thing I can say.
Gets downhill.
And he turns the ball over. He's turned the ball over 4 times a game so far.
Short memory. Good switch one quarterback.
by pretty much every metric, Jordan Poole's rookie year was the statistical worst season an NBA player has had in the 2020.
He was pretty bad.
And look at him now. It's basically a max player getting traded for.
Gotten salary dumped twice in the last few years.
Exactly.
He's doing great.
That happens to a lot of max players these days.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. Some get waived and stretched, actually.
Yeah. See, it hasn't gotten waived yet. Yeah. Better than Dame, I heard. Better than Bradley Beal.
Who are you taking? Yeah. Somebody pull up the stat muse, Jordan Poole versus Dame on the Bucks. Honestly, maybe we should have a conversation.
He doesn't have a torn Achilles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Jordan
just
Poole's
a
playing games.
fact of life. Yeah.
The best availability is availability.
100%.
Maybe not when you're Jordan Poole. But anyway, good for him. He got a bag. Happy for him.
Is Terry Rozier going to play, or is he in legal trouble?
No, he's fine. He got cleared.
He
was not the one. Malik Beasley's the one that is not going to play next season.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he is.
Terry Rozier's innocent, exonerated. Just like P. Diddy.
I need this Malik Beasley stuff to end quickly so he can sign with the Warriors. He's got to just. I know he's basically his entire life seems to be owed to his dentist, which is very strange. But he's got to put that behind him, get back in the gym, and play some flow offense.
Act 3 of Uncut Gems, but if Joe Lacob just showed up with a bag and said, "Here, the movie's over. Don't open that thing, and don't open that door with the scary Russian guy in it."
It's always good to get in debt with your dentist. That's like it's a really good person to get in debt with.
That's like a Guy Ritchie thing.
He's like straight up.
He's the fucking dentist. You don't want to owe the dentist money.
I mean, the Kanye was being controlled by his dentist.
Yeah,
that was different.
Yeah, it was
Jack dentist.
He got MK Ultra'd by his dentist, which is something very different.
He
mind controlled by your dentist is hell of a way to go.
How bad was D-Bronx has a good point. How bad was the new CBA like insurance? Did they fucking have them on like an HSA like for like dentist stuff? Is that what happened there? Or?
Well, I don't want to make any massive leaps here, but there might be something more involved with the dentist. Maybe it is similar to Kanye's situation.
No.
What are you talking about?
No.
I mean,
that's a good, clean American profession.
All I'm saying is that Malik Beasley does like to live life like he's in a Future song. And that feels like a very Future song related activity.
So do we think it was a Guy Ritchie style dentist, or do we think it was a Coen Brothers style dentist? Like what type of evil persona were they rocking with?
Well, are you asking if he was British or Jewish?
Either way, he could end up like I'm thinking of why am I blanking on his name?
I'm not going to say
Angelina Jolie.
John
Billy
Voight?
Bob Thornton. No,
Oh,
Billy
Billy
Bob
Bob.
Thornton in the Fargo, like
Yes.
the TV series, like is what I'm picturing for the dentist. So
Anyway, the Miami Heat's off season.
we're through 3 teams.
I knew this was going to happen. Whatever.
Yeah.
So Norm Powell is basically their big addition here, which I like Norm Powell, but like, does he fit with
Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero?
I mean, I don't care about Terry Rozier.
Yeah, Terry Rozier doesn't matter.
I don't know if he's going to play for them. They might even buy him out, I would imagine. Maybe they try to salary dump him at the deadline. I don't think he's even in their rotation.
You're forgetting that they re-signed their franchise point guard,
Davion Mitchell.
Right.
Yeah,
Star in plain sight. By the way, second in potential assists of any player in the playoffs this year, behind Cade Cunningham. If you go on NBA.com and you sort potential assists, it goes Cade Cunningham 1, Davion Mitchell 2. Sam's 2 favorite players in the NBA. It is amazing to have.
I've two guys I've often said are of similar caliber as players. I've been very consistent about that over the last 3 years.
The 2 best guards from the 2021 draft. You've always said that.
I've always said that.
The big thing I get out of summer league is you get this. It's a helpful blink test for seeing how big guys are, just like literally how physically big they are. And I remember watching Davion Mitchell play for the Kings and being like, "That's a tiny little guy."
He's like 5'11".
That is a tiny little guy. He is not doing much in this league.
I just need a vibe check real quick because I always have vibe check on guys the Heat get. I was right about Davion Mitchell, where I said Davion Mitchell's going to be awesome for them because he's been bad everywhere else.
Right.
And he's a dog. And the only person who can figure out how to use this Gabe Vincent variant of player is Spo. Gabe Vincent's also terrible on the Lakers. Right. Davion Mitchell's basically, the Gary Payton of Gabe Vincent's. And the thing that I just want to say here is, to me, the vibe check on the guys they got this offseason, Simone Fontecchio, I think, is going to be great for them. He just feels like the kind of guy that the Heat get, and everyone's like, what the fuck? How is this guy good? And everyone's been telling me for years that this guy is good, and I just like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. But now that he's on the Heat, I feel I could go either way with Norm Powell, because if it was 2 years ago, Norm Powell, I would have been like, he's going to be amazing on the Heat. Now I feel like I could see it going either way because the weird fit with Hero, and then combined with the fact that I thought Terry Rozier was going to be great for them, and Terry Rozier's been dog shit for them. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that I feel like Fontecchio, no-brainer that he's going to be good for them. Powell, I could go either way on it. I could see him being like not quite as good as last year, but still a good player. And I could also seeing it go the other way where it just they can't quite figure it out because of the defensive fit with Tyler Hero and the overlap in their skill set.
One funny ripple to all of this is Wiggins. He is going to, because he is going to break Heat fans' brains, or maybe Heat brass brains.
He already has.
Well, it's
because he was amazing when they first got him, and then he sucked.
Totally, because he hates basketball, and he is going to pass every single like surprise BMI test they do, where they like wake you up in the middle of the night and like waterboard you and check your fat content in your thigh. Like, he's gonna pass all of them with flying colors and just still be.
It's a perfect physical specimen.
Yeah,
he's like, and just can't kind of like put it together.
He's just like the opposite of a Heat guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, they all have, like, everyone who works on the Heat is like, I was homeless at one point. I went undrafted. Everyone in my family gave up on me. Like, it is literally a team of raise my rent guys, which honestly, if you want to make the argument in favor of Norm Powell for the third time just got traded because the team didn't want to pay him.
Yeah.
And he has very much, say what you will about Norm Powell, he is a raise my rent guy. He's a dog, grind set guy. He might fit in great with them, and that might be the reason why he's really good for them. Wiggins is the total opposite. Wiggins was the first pick in the draft. His parents were both professional athletes. He is someone who kind of is just always been coasting on natural talent, and the Heat are the ultimate test here.
I think I just had an idea. We're talking about the Heat getting raise my rent guys. Could they get Pat Connaughton? Is he like a target for them?
The Hornets buy out Pat Connaughton, and he's going down there to invest in Miami real estate.
He is the ultimate raise my rent guy.
Yeah, he's raising your rent. He's a raise your rent guy.
He my rent. Yeah, in the first person. Yes. If you live in Section 8 housing, he will raise your rent. I'm just kidding. He'll knock your house down and then raise the rent of the people who move into your neighborhood instead.
Playoff Merchant said Wiggins voted for rent control, which is why he didn't fit in with the Warriors. Yimby Wiggins.
Oh, okay. Abundance. He
Abundance
has an abundance of
Wiggins.
talent. Yeah, he has an abundance of talent, man.
Incredible.
No, I mean, here's the thing about the Heat, though, is the damage to their team was done before this offseason. So if we're ranking just based on
just based on the offseason,
available, yeah,
I think they did good.
I think it's a C. Like
I give it a B.
Okay, sure.
I mean, they just traded Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love for Norm Powell.
That's true. Now you're right. B. Yeah, you're
like,
right.
I think that's an objectively very good move.
Yeah, and the rest of their moves were whatever. So
yeah, and then Duncan Robinson. Yeah, exactly. I think that's like a solid move. Because once again, another team kind of like the Clippers, they didn't really have anything to trade or do, and they ended up coming out like just as good, if not better, on the other side. And the East is wide open next year. Like you said, all the damage that has to be done is that their best player is either Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo, which that was when they traded away Jimmy Butler. Yeah, I was going to say that has to do with them fumbling the Jimmy situation. They should have traded Jimmy a year and a half ago, and they decided to get super cute with it. And then they waited until he virtually had no value. And now they have a decent team, but like this was pretty much as good as they could possibly make their team without, really anything to trade or no real internal improvements either. Well, they still have young guys too.
The 2023 Eastern Conference Finals truly was like a kamikaze attack. On me personally, because not even on the Boston. The Celtics won the next year. It was a kamikaze attack on me personally. My life.
When you were doing Joe Biden bit earlier, I was thinking about Joe Biden thinking Steve Ballmer was a guy who did Pearl Harbor. He's like, yeah, Steve Ballmer, he took us down.
He took us out, man. He was in there. B's fine for this.
So the B's fine for the Heat. We're only on the third team still somehow. It's almost 8 o'clock.
We're 50 minutes in, so we're on pace for a 7-hour pod.
Let's talk about the Jazz real quick. Because the Jazz basically said we don't want any good players on our team except for Laurie Moore. Okay, all right, hold on. We have to summarize their moves first. They said we are moving.
Can we just play a raspberry sound effect? Here, I'll summarize their moves. There we go. That's their moves. This is the biggest dog shit front office of all time. The worst thing I've ever said into this microphone was that the Jazz were going to be better than the Thunder earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I stand by my process, but I stand by my process there. I did not realize that Danny Ainge is actively in a Joe Biden situation. Everyone close to him is lying about his where he
Acuities.
is.
They're like,
Danny Ainge.
Hey!
Right now,
Austin Ainge is going to come in and save everyone just like Kamala did.
Yeah,
it's always good. Yeah, it's always good when
he's very similar. Yeah,
Austin is the hunter. Actually, Austin is the hunter in this situation.
Yeah. To check
he's smoking crack in the front office. While respecting women, though.
That's true. I mean, look. They've done way more for the BYU program that they have for this piece of shit. Right? This is the worst front office in the NBA now, I think.
Okay, so Masai's gone. I still just want to say I gotta wait with the Raptors and the Bulls because the Bulls. I still think it's the Bulls. I think. Is there any pushback there? I feel like it's the Bulls, right?
To me, Bulls are number one.
The Pelicans are too early. We're just going based on the thing with the Pelicans is that everyone wants to say the Pelicans, but they've only been there for so little that
I'm going completely the other way on the Pelicans. The Pelicans are fucking cooking right now, dude. This Derek Queen trade, he's going to be a star. It's done. Oh, I don't care if it's still a bad deal because of the process. Wrong. Everybody was like, oh, everybody lost their fucking minds when the Suns took Cam Johnson like 14 steps earlier, and then it's like, oh wait, he's actually good.
Also, I just want to point out, hold on. Let's zoom out a little bit. Cam Johnson was always good. I like Cam Johnson in that draft. And I'm not saying Derek Queen isn't good. What I'm trying to say is that the Cam Johnson trade was in a dog shit draft, and they took him with the 11th pick, and they traded from 6 to 11 to do it, and they got Dario Saric in the process. The following year, they did the same exact thing, and they took Jalen Smith just ahead of Tyrese Halliburton. So I'm just saying that there are two ends of the coin here. It's not that there's both sides of the coin. There is the rousing success of Cam Johnson picks, and there's also the insane downside of just picking based on vibes. Having said that, I mean, Derek Queen definitely has potential. I think the reason why I think that I hate the way the Pelicans have built their roster is because if there was one player in the NBA I thought could not succeed, Derek Queen could get drafted to a team. I would say the team that has Zion Williamson on it. That's the only reason. Is literally like you drafted him to a team with a player who is so close to him in play style and has the same deficiencies on defense.
Zion is on a different team, dude. He's wearing black denim in the middle of the summer. That guy is like on a different planet right now.
Yeah.
He's going to be a Warrior soon, so that'll free up some spots. I do think that the Zion Derek Queen basically on its face looks bad. The only argument
hold on. We're not gonna skim past this because on its face it looks bad, but all of their other moves were to acquire Jordan Poole. Hold on. I can't put them up there with worse front offices just because
the only move they've made is one of the worst trades in the history of the NBA. That's the only criteria. That's too. They gave away a top 5 pick to draft Derek Queen.
The sample size is too small. That's gonna light a fire under his ass, dude. He's gonna be wearing fucking dry fit next season.
Well, he did say he kicked all those kids' asses in high school when they were 15, so it's impossible to say whether he's gonna be better than them in the NBA or not.
Go back. What happened last time Joe Dumars had a top 5 pick?
Oh, I mean, Dumars. Have you guys read that the articles about Dumars basically being the leak for all of Woj's stuff?
Oh yeah.
We talked about this before.
Yeah. From like 20 years ago or whatever. Dumars is a proper NBA deep state, actor.
Sure.
And so him landing in New Orleans either means, wow, now I'm like spinning a conspiracy. What if he is sabotaging the Pelicans to get them out of New Orleans?
That's 100% possible.
Because he just worked for the NBA front office for so long that he's like, all right, we're going to suicide bomb the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes.
And we're going to then send them to another city once we get expansion. We'll still do the expansion draft, but then we'll move the Pelicans somewhere else. Exactly. I mean, it's definitely possible. I wouldn't be shocked if they were like, send in your best guys, Troy Weaver and Joe Dumars, and they're like, we could do this very fast. they're like, you want to see how fast we can do it? We can do it in like 2 years. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our game or not.
Well, and Space Cowboy is a good point in the comments. Like, it's not like the NBA was watching that situation being like, damn, we really need to throw a stick in the tires of the New Orleans Pelicans to stop them from.
They were a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, exactly. It isn't a far cry from their past few years.
I'm glad I got us to not talk about the Utah Jazz.
Well,
Hawkins also bucket.
The only thing I want to say about the Jazz is there are a few Jazz fans that I guess that they've been pushing back on what I've been saying on Twitter, which is that like they're the most overrated front office in the NBA because the media just goes, oh, well, they know what they're doing. And I'm like, do they? Like, why are we just giving them the benefit of the doubt when we're going into year 4 of a rebuild after they blew up a really good team? They basically missed on a ton of draft picks. And then the best case scenario for the guys on their current team is like Ace Bailey and Kyle Filipowski, who probably peak as complementary players. and don't end up being like 1A stars. They need, once again, the Wizards and the Jazz need to get a top pick in the next draft, and they kind of already needed it in this past draft too. So they're really relying on the lottery luck thing. Like I feel like they're like, I mean, we're reaching a point where like, why do people talk about the Jazz so well when they're literally basically, what if the process Sixers didn't have Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons waiting in the wings?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of where they're at this point. Like, they blew up a better team than the pre-process Sixers. They didn't have dead money on their books. I don't know. I think it's insane how people talk about them.
It
and
did
also
just occur. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I just want to say their draft real quick. Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton. It's very funny having seen them so far 3 games in Summer League. Ace was really bad in the first game, and then they said, "You're Dorian Finney-Smith now. Go stand in a corner," and he was awesome because that's what Ace does well. Ace is going to shoot well. He's going to rebound. He's going to do hustle shit. That's good to see, at least, that he's willing to buy into that role in Summer League, and that will probably translate over into the NBA. But get out of here with this. Oh my God, he has superstar upside shit, dude. He can dribble with one hand. Having watched, with the narrative being VJ Edgecombe versus Ace Bailey in the draft, one's a role player, one's a star. Go watch those Summer League games and tell me which players you think is going to be a star in the NBA. That's all I'm going to say. It drives me fucking nuts. That is the most role player ass player I've seen. Maybe a very good one, but ultimately VJ is the one that clearly has more upside. Anyway, we are on to the, all right. So where are we putting the Pelicans?
A.
Where are we putting the Pelicans, Sam? Okay, so we have to consider
it's D or F. For me.
Okay,
that's all.
Hold on. They got Sadiq Bey, Washington Wizards connection.
Bucket.
Jordan Poole, Washington Wizards connection.
I actually don't mind the Jordan Poole.
Yeah, honestly, CJ McCollum
really
for Jordan Poole, basically you just got younger CJ McCollum at this point, I feel like.
Jordan Poole's like a better player. Like he has more money for like longer, but like the Pelicans, that was going to be an issue for the Pelicans no matter what. I would rather have a NBA player where they are. I would have an NBA player right now. The issue here is there are still unresolved questions about what is Zion Williamson to this franchise. And like while there continues to be, he has his legal issues. There's all sorts of other things like, and while that's going on in perpetuity, he like is, you can't do anything as a franchise.
You're frozen.
You address that. So that is the bigger issue here. Like it's funny to make fun of the trade. That trade, Harry could be right. Like that trade could be fine. You know what I'm saying? It's bad process, but that trade could be fine. I'm not going to bet on that, but it could be. The bigger issue is you didn't trade Zion Williamson. You drafted a guy who's basically literally can't play with Zion Williamson as your big like draft acquisition and big offseason pickup. And every year you lose more and more of Herb Jones's scam contract, and that gets less valuable as this goes along, as you continue to like waste time. Trey Murphy is also on. Did they extend?
I'm putting him in the D column. We don't need to talk about them anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I just think that the shit that they did was classic Troy Weaver shit, dude. Who cares about assets? Who cares about whatever? I'm just going to acquire the guys I really like, and then we'll figure it out later. And how did that work out for the Detroit Pistons?
Let me say 2 final things. One, just via basketball chaos theory, one of Derek Queen or Jeremiah Fears has to be a star. So
on the odds,
Fears.
They're both extremely Fears. Yeah, extremely kind of like erratic, possible upside freak players. One of them is going to be a star, so that's great. They've got.
But if you want them to be a star, why are you putting them with the redundant versions of that? Like,
dude,
putting Zion and Queen on the same team and putting Queen and or Fears and Poole on the same team just doesn't make sense. This is every time with Troy Weaver, dude. Troy Weaver loves to just put guys on teams that make no fucking sense together. It drives me insane.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
They also got Hunter Dickinson, who's an NIL merchant.
Yeah, no, by the way, Hunter Dickinson, you know where he went to school?
Oh, you go Michigan.
Right? And
Oh,
when
and then
Troy Weaver was the GM there, and then he also is from the DC area. Every guy they acquired this offseason had some sort of connection. Although, if I remember correctly, Kayvon Looney is from Milwaukee, right?
he's from Milwaukee, yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't have any connection to him. That's the only guy they acquired for. Yeah, so that's just
awesome.
We are back in the moron GM era. We're definitely back in the moron GM era. Just all vibes.
The problem is we still only have like 5 though. Like,
sure, but they're gonna spice things up for everyone.
That's true. Yeah.
They're gonna add so much slop to our table. Like, it's just they're plopping slop all over the table. Yeah. All right, the Orlando Magic. They got Desmond Bane. They re-signed Paolo Banchero to a max contract, which caused every person to get schizophrenia on Twitter. Hold on. That
wasn't a supermax, right? Because he supermax qualifier. Like,
I don't know how any of that stuff works anymore. To be
I think he can like backdoor his way into it with like an All NBA selection this year.
Maybe.
Yeah. Something like that. They stole Jace Richardson from me, which was very rude.
They drafted Jace Richardson. They did give up a lot of draft capital to go get Bane, but I still like that move for them because it's a push in the chips move for a team that's kind of on the doorstep of contention. And he's kind of the perfect fit for what they need. They also signed Tyus Jones to a veteran minimum deal, and they brought back Mo Wagner on a 1-year deal as well because he was never going to leave his brother. They lost Cole Anthony, Gary Harris to the Bucks, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was in the Desmond Bane trade as well. I think this is like a off season.
I was going to say S. I think they did the best of anyone this offseason.
To push in the chips at this time, right before you have to pay everyone, to give them a real chance to develop with Paolo and Franz, to put spacing around them with Bane, someone who can run a little bit of offense. Zach Lowe's brought this up a ton on his podcast. They haven't had a top 20 offense in like 12 years, I think, which is like unthinkable. I think this will be the first time that they get a top 20 offense, and their defense is going to be just as nails as it is before. We talked about the Bane trade and why we love that. You can go watch that episode if you want to learn more about that. But I really like their offseason. Just solid moves all around. We need guard play, and we took 3 swings on one guy that's a guaranteed to be a good fit and 2 guys that might be solid regular season players for us. So great offseason for me.
Yep.
So I feel like, should we add an incomplete tier for your Warriors?
Dude, I mean, I guess our hands are becoming increasingly tight. I mean, what is the even best case scenario? I mean,
what did you guys do? Is there anything?
Last I checked, nothing has happened because I don't think
there's no. Hold on. Golden State Warriors re-signing, nothing. Additions, nothing. Departures. Kayvon Looney signs with the Pelicans.
Yeah, we're just playing freeze tag. No, the our hands were, this is how these things end, right? Like you're way over the cap. You have a bunch of old people. You can't do anything. You got to wait to figure out what's up with Kuminga. And it does seem like at this point we are playing hardball with Kuminga. Unfortunately, I think this is turning into like we're playing hardball in that we're trying to figure out if we're going to get like 1 second-round pick or nothing back from him in some kind of sign and trade. My only hope, so basically we're somewhere between an F and a C. It's a C if we sign Ben Simmons. It's a C.
Ben Simmons still out there. Revitalization. Just Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons back together is what Ben Simmons needs for his career to. Harry, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a night where we thought that Ben Simmons was signing with the Sixers, which
happened.
All right, so
like a bottle episode.
So no. So what happened was a few weeks ago, Ben Simmons his brother still lives in Philly. He like owns businesses here or something. I don't ask questions.
Totally.
And so they were seen out to dinner. They were seen out at dinner at a restaurant here. And a bunch of people were posting about it, and we were like, what the fuck is happening? But then it went deeper, and someone sent me screenshots of Ben Simmons' brother was selling basically his bed and a bunch of stuff that he owned and telling people he was moving overseas. So we think that Ben Simmons might be retiring.
Wow. I love
and that they might just go back to Australia. Like that's what or Europe, one of the two. Like,
the old model of like a player who just really hated basketball were almost exclusively 7 feet tall people because they were just like gobbled up into this system and whatever. As the professionalization of these lower ranks gets more and more, I do think we are going to see more people have these kind of like mental breakdown style things like Simmons, where you're just like, he maybe just basically hates basketball and was 6'8" and had good hand-eye coordination, or 6'10" and had good hand-eye coordination, and then like liked being a star person. And yeah, fucks off back to Europe.
I mean, we've talked about the range of weird draft picks, the top 1 overall picks from 2013 to 2019, where it was this like weird, like you just said, like cursed to be born with, perfect genetics, basically,
right?
And get to and have it get to you like the highest peak you could possibly get to. But ultimately, if you don't give a shit and like your body and your brain is broken by this point and you're just mentally done, he's kind of just one of the weird. If he does retire, it's going to be one of the weirdest careers
it's gonna be
in NBA history. I mean, thought to be the next like LeBron, Magic Johnson style player, to everything that happened with the Sixers, to basically out of the league within, if he's out of the league, it's just over 3 years since the Sixers traded him. And he went from an all NBA player, defensive, all defense guy, runner up for defensive player of the year, to out of the NBA in 3.5 years. It's absolutely insane. But
his career ascension maps perfectly onto the cultural ascendancy of woke. It's like,
he peaked in 2021,
yeah,
and then it just completely fell apart.
Yeah,
really peaked in 2019, 2020, and then then started
and peak like crescendoing with the JJ Redick podcast where he's like on there.
We need woke to bring back Ben Simmons, is what you're trying to say.
Woke ain't going away. I'm just saying, woke is coming back, so maybe Ben comes back at some point. He can shoot.
This is true. What I'm about to say, I was recently sent a PDF called Woke 2 that outlines a new type of woke that's like Woke 2. So maybe Ben Simmons
back and better than ever.
Yeah, be a member of Woke 2.
I think we could just bring the old one back, man. Like I really think like just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is how we got that bad CBA. We can't put CJ McCollum in charge of woke.
We need Draymond Green to do it.
Yes, Draymond Green would be so good at
dark woke.
Except for one particular blind spot that he has. But outside of that, it would be really good.
And we all know exactly what you mean when you say that.
Yes.
So
one blind spot.
I'm putting the Warriors in D just because we have nothing to go off. I would put them in F, but we don't know that they're going to overpay Jonathan Kuminga yet. So if if they get him back at like 20 something million a year and they think that's tradable, sure, why not? Fuck it. So we'll put them there for now. That's the incomplete tier, basically. Let's move on to another team that did a lot, which is the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks were in the other end of that trade, where they ended up getting the potentially top pick next year, the better of the Bucks and the Pelicans first, unprotected, to move back 10 spots in the draft and draft the player they were going to draft anyway at 13 in Asa Newell. Who I wasn't crazy about in the lottery, but to get him at the end of the first and to put him with Trae Young, basically the idea of him is that if he works out, he's going to be like a John Collins regen type. So that might end up working out for them. Add in the fact that they also signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker in a sign-in trade. They got Kristaps Porzingis in a salary dump. And they got off of the Terrence Mann contract that this new front office inherited from the previous front office. I feel like that was the majority of their moves, right? They also they had a lot of guys leave. Oh, they signed Luke Kennard as well. They signed Luke Kennard to a 1-year deal. So they brought in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard, Kristaps Porzingis, and Asa Newell. They sent out Clint Capella, who was washed, Karis LeVert, Larry Nance Jr., Terrence Mann, George Niang, and they just waived David Roddy, who was back with them for a second time. Big Roddy. I think the process was really good for them this offseason. They definitely got better. but I also don't know what Porzingis is. Like, we talked about this last week. Like, I like the idea of what they're doing, but is he a person anymore? Like, will we ever see Kristaps Porzingis again?
I hope not. No, I mean, like, look, I think that the bigger issue is FEMA going to be deployed to the Hawks locker room at some point this offseason because of whatever Legionnaire's disease he's brought
Breaking
into
containment.
he's brought into the thing. I mean, that is one of that is still going to be one of the most insane things of my lifetime, that we never found out like what happened with, like, because he's like, yeah, he's sick. It's like, okay, so he's like away from the team, right? No.
Very good point here by Gabe.
What?
He's now near the CDC in Atlanta, which we should consider.
It's true.
Maybe that's why he was like, trade me there.
Yeah, it was a deep state op. They had to get him there because of all the Trump cuts. They can't deploy the CDC anywhere. They needed to have him.
To be clear, he also probably thinks the CDC should be abolished. I just want to put that on record that Porzingis probably thinks that we shouldn't have the CDC. And also,
is Andrew Tate still in Florida? Can he go see him whenever he wants?
Him and Quinn Snyder can take trips down together.
Yeah, carpool down, split off. Yeah. Quinn goes and sees his guy, and then he drives all the way through the night on the way back. Kristaps is like, "Hey, you want me to take a turn driving?" No, I got it.
Never takes his eyes off.
Okay, I got a great business idea, Kristaps. So you want to hear
it? The other thing I was going to say was he's on an expiring contract, so his money is not long like COVID right now. So he is at least I think it's a worthy flyer from them. And they got off the Terrence Mann contract in the process. They ended up getting the guy they wanted at the end of the first. They got an extra first-round pick. Nickeil Alexander-Walker will help them. I think that people need to pump the brakes a little bit with the Hawks because we literally have no idea if Porzingis is going to play for a full season. And we also don't know. Like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is an upgrade on what they had, but, like, he kind of is just building on strengths that they already had. Like, they have that style of player. I don't want to say it's a 1-for-1, but like they have multiple playable wings is what I'm trying to get at. And I like the fit of this roster a lot if everyone's healthy, especially the top end of their rotation. But I think they'll be a good regular season team. I think that everyone's going a little bit crazy right now with kind of how they feel about this team and where they think they can go. But I like their offseason. Like, I would give it like a B or an A, I think.
Yeah, the whole thing, because I agree. I'm intrigued by this team. I will say the KP with a super heliocentric, guard who swings out passes just did not go well, And then, this whole thing is a bet on the Trae Young basketball machine, which I just think is bad, like a broken and does not lead anywhere. It like kind of leads you to 47 wins at its absolute max. So, it is the prettiest version of a Trae Young team that we've seen, I think, including Trae Young's own, like, taking a step back and deciding to pass the ball and not being like pouting and shooting 36 footers. But I don't see this team being like, it's hard to imagine a gritty playoff team with a 6'1".
How many times have they not been in the play-in since they got Trae Young?
Yeah.
It's literally, I know that this is technically an improved version of that, but like the outside of 2021, which the second half of 2021 might go down as the weirdest year in the history of the NBA. And outside of that, we have never had them in the top 6 in the East. Now, the East is going to be weaker next year. That's undeniable. We've had multiple teams taken out. And that will benefit them. Like, they're more likely to be the 5 seed instead of the 7 seed, right?
5 seed.
Yeah, they're more likely to be something like what?
Just 5 seed. 5 seed.
5 seed, okay. Huh? Okay. All right. Let's talk soon. This is an S. This is the presumptive this is the presumptive favorite in the East.
All right, enough.
And what do you mean enough? I've had to listen to all your stupid bullshit. Like
about what? About what? The Oklahoma City Thunder who just won the NBA Finals? Is that
no. Poo-pooing this. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were that high on Terrence Mann and George Niang. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that Jalen Johnson
they had to give up a first-round pick to get off of Terrence Mann. It's not like they just got off of him for free.
And what's the first-round pick they have coming back? Oh, that's right, a top 5 one. Like, don't.
That's a separate trade. What are you talking about? That has nothing to do with the first trade.
Well, it has a lot to do with their offseason that I'm giving an S to.
I agree that trade. I agree that trade was good in a vacuum. I like the Nickeil Alexander-Walker signing. I don't really know what to make of acquiring Porzingis because, as you've laid out, he might be like not available.
Right.
I don't think you could give them an S. I feel like if you get an S, you have to have acquired multiple good players that vault you into championship contention.
I'm just saying, if you make the finals, by definition, you are in championship contention.
This is insane.
If you make the finals,
Harry, I have tried to talk him out of the Atlanta Hawks every single year. The entire podcast existed. There has never been a year that I haven't tried to talk Sam out of the Atlanta Hawks.
This is like, okay, here's this is the difference between
he just keeps going back for more.
Okay. You've seen the meme of the guy digging for the diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what everyone assumes, that because last year's Atlanta Hawks were bad, this year's Atlanta Hawks are going to be the same.
Right.
That is literally not how time works. The Atlanta Hawks are going to be good. They've got good players. They got better. They have Dyson Daniels. They're 8 deep with NBA talent. Trae Young is still an issue, but you know what else is an issue? Jalen Brunson. And the Knicks are ostensibly the best team in the East. So, like, are you telling me it's impossible that the Atlanta Hawks that Trae Young beats the New York Knicks in MSG? Are you telling me that's impossible?
I will put literally whatever, write the check. If you want to put amount of money on the Atlanta Hawks winning the East next year, I will put my whole bank account on it. I will literally put everything I own on the Atlanta Hawks not winning the East next year.
Okay.
Trae Young is also just not a leader of men.
He's a dickhead.
Yeah, he's a dickhead.
Literally everyone hates him after they have to play with him for like 2 weeks.
Okay. Hates him. He's over competitive. He's a dickhead. Who else was that? Oh, that's right. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. This is a personality type that is going on here. I'm just going to say,
someone said that hate is Trae's fuel. Everyone believes in the Hawks now. So then that is not
everyone. You're denying it. I'm
the only one. Everyone else in media is telling me they're a top 3 team in the East and they could make the conference finals and what are we talking about, dude?
No, this is the year it swings the other way. Everyone's gonna do the fool me twice, shame on me thing, and they're gonna hop off right before we all ride into Valhalla together. So let's see. I mean, they do have to avoid the Magic. That is the one thing I will say. Will they end up on the other side of the bracket from the Magic? Who's to say? But I will be picking the Hawks in any other matchup in the East this year.
I do really like. I guess I like their.
I'm not putting them in
whatever. Yeah.
No, they have a good team. Don't get me wrong. This is a good team. I do not, and I've been higher on Jalen Johnson than even Sam. I just think that they have a lot of cute niche players that NBA Twitter overrates the shit out of, like Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was just the 7th man on the Wolves, by the way. And Ricochet, who's they're all nice role players. Okongwu, all these guys, they're nice role players that every nerd in the NBA thinks they're smart for saying that they're like awesome players. And I even include myself in that with the Jalen Johnson stuff a little bit. Like I probably am projecting a little bit with him. He's a bit of a Trae Young merchant as well. The good news is that they play with Trae Young on this team and they will be a good team next year. Having said that, I'm never betting on the Atlanta Hawks to win the Eastern Conference. That's clinically insane.
Okay. Siri, calibrate voice pattern memos to what was just said.
All right.
Perfect match for Sam Sheehan 2024 Oklahoma City Thunder discussion. So wow.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying.
Oh, you're saying that I am. They won the finals. You were wrong.
I was wrong. Right. Now you're going to be wrong.
There's no way that this is insane.
The tuxedo. The tuxedo. We're going to get Trill on a tuxedo bit. And we're going to bankrupt him too. Let's go.
Dude. Absolutely unbelievable. All right.
Let's go. We're locked in. I do reserve the right to immediately abandon the stake if I watch 2 games and they look bad in the regular season.
November and Sam's like, I've made a huge mistake.
I'm out.
All right. I will say, I will be tuned in for Atlanta Hawks games next year because I think they're going to be really entertaining.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that there are going to be some games where it's just like the Pacers from a few years ago, where they score like 150 points and the final score is like 150 to 147 or whatever. It could be a lot of fun. All right, let's get the Sixers out of the way. The Sixers didn't really do much. I mean, they got younger technically, but then they brought back the corpses of many of their veteran players like they love to do, because Daryl Morey is addicted to signing players who are near the end of their lives and their career.
They made the right draft pick, which
VJ Edgecombe, love the VJ pick, love that. Yeah. By the way, I do just want to say, just back to the Jazz and the Wizards. I'm not faulting them for the swings they took in the draft. I think those are perfectly fine picks where they took those guys.
Yep.
It was everything else they did that I'm just kind of like, or I don't think they're good. Like the Jazz gave up multiple solid to good rotation players and got nothing back. So, the Sixers re-signed Justin Edwards, who has not looked great in Summer League in year 2. Usually not a great sign. He cannot dribble with one hand. He returns on a 3-year deal. They also brought back Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry. I cannot believe they brought back Kyle Lowry. But we knew that was going to happen. Trendon Watford came on a 2-year deal with a 2nd-year team option. I like the flyer on him. They also signed Jabari Walker. We talked about that. Most recently, they brought in a local guy, OTE legend, Dom Barlow, who's from Philadelphia, actually. So I'm fine with all that. Those are my minuscule moves. They lost Yabu to the Knicks, which breaks my heart, but it is what it is. I'm not really too fussed over losing Yabu. They drafted Broom and VJ. Love that. And now they're just waiting for Quentin Grimes. I've said this offseason was always going to be about Grimes and I've said this offseason is always going to be about Grimes and the pick, and I feel like they nailed the pick. And I feel like they're going to get Grimes back on a decent contract, but there's at least a chance that Grimes goes insane mode and takes the qualifying offer. And then the Sixers are kind of stuck with their dick in their hands.
It's possible.
I don't want to give this a B or a C because I don't want to reward Daryl Morey. Or I'm sorry, I don't want to give this a B because I don't want to reward Daryl Morey for bringing back these old players like he always does.
I think C is what I was thinking. I think it was a totally normal hold serve. All
right, here's my thing.
Yes, Slam. Kuminga for Grimes. I would do that tomorrow.
No, absolutely not. I'm not trading Grimes for Kuminga.
Kuminga would be a good Sixer.
No, he wouldn't. He would absolutely suck. I've already cool. We got Jeff Green 2.0. I'm not doing the fucking that experience. It might even be offensive to Jeff Green at this point. But long story short on this, I just would like them to acquire a single power forward. Like that is on an NBA contract. Can you do that? Can you go get someone that is on an NBA contract that can play the 4? Because if Paul George is your starting power forward to start next year, and then you're doing it with a potentially compromised Joel Embiid, if he's fine, it's going to be a disaster again. Like we need a 4 so badly. So I'll give them a C because I love the draft, and then I was on everything else. So absolutely nailed the draft. I think the VJ pick is a home run. And I think that will prove to continue to be the case. So, all right. Is there the Rockets? Let's talk about the Rockets. I like their offseason a lot. They got off the Jalen Green contract. They traded Dylan Brooks and the 10th pick, and they got Kevin Durant back. And then they kind of just held firm on everything else. Like they kind of just ran it back. Other than that, they didn't make any other massive moves. That was kind of just, but But the Kevin Durant move was their big move. They re-signed Jabari and Fred VanVleet on reasonable contracts. And they got Dorian Finney-Smith too. Shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think this we got to give somebody an S, and if it's not the
this
Rockets,
is it.
yeah,
This is that an S for me.
Yeah.
They vaulted into contention and they got off one of the worst contracts in the NBA
no.
pretty easily.
There's one other team I would give an S to. Sorry, I forgot. But yes,
we'll get there. Yeah, the Rockets will give them an S. I feel like that's just, we've talked about the Kevin Durant thing kind of at length. I think they're going to be really good. So
I have a mini prediction that I was thinking about with the Rockets.
Say it.
I think we are gonna. I think the sort of process that NBA fans have been doing around like milkshake ducking their own stars that they love has been shrunk. It used to be maybe like 2 or 3 years before people were like, well, when's Giannis going to win a ring, right?
Sure.
Amen Thompson is the first person who has completely sped run the getting milkshake dugged and is going to start next season in the doghouse with his own franchise. He's going to miss like 6 open jump shots to start the team, and Rockets fans are going to be like, I don't know if our future has Amen Thompson in it.
So here's the thing. The Rockets fans that I follow on Twitter are kind of like some of the strongest soldiers. They finally lost a piece of their core 9, which I don't know if you were familiar with this, but their core was not a core 4. It was a core 9. Yeah.
Jason Tate's mom part of that?
Yeah, Jason Tate. They brought it back.
Tari Eason's mom, sorry.
Yeah. No, they brought back Jason Tate. Tari Eason's mom is a big part of the core. She's an important factor. I think they're going to try to re-sign him as well. But Cam Whitmore was part of the core 9, so it was a little bit heartbreaking for them to only get 2 second-round picks back for him. But he didn't have any, value around the league from what we understand. But long story short on this, they are now moving from cute, fun, young team to expectations, and that's what you're trying to say. They're moving into the contention realm, and with that comes expectation. And what's that?
Cool zone. They're exiting.
They're exiting the cool zone. They're now moving into the hot under pressure zone, where they will be on this under the spotlight. And I actually, my prediction is that Şengün is the one who gets a lot of the backlash.
Yeah,
Jalen Green was was kind of the center of a lot of criticism this past season. They obviously traded him. I think Şengün's good, to be clear, and I think that he's made a ton of strides. I know that he had kind of a weird season with finishing last year. And then, he had some moments where he wasn't great in the playoffs, but long story short in this, I think Kevin Durant being there, it is going to take them a little bit to figure out this fit for sure. Like, I don't think it's a super clean fit. I think the talent will just rise to the top, and they'll probably end up winning like 55 to 60 games, be a really good regular season team. I think that Amen has too many. My thing is that if there is anyone that gets criticism, it's Şengün, because he's kind of goofy and not like your like traditional idea of like what a
face.
Yeah, he's also kind of like not your traditional idea of what a star can be. And like Amen is still like benefiting from being like a nerd favorite and having aura and all of that. But I would like to see him take major steps, especially with as a shot creator next year, because if he's the key to them, like being like a fun team that can make the conference finals and like legitimately winning the NBA finals if he takes a massive leap. So
is Reed Shepard going to play for them?
Yeah, they said that's why they didn't like go out and try to sign like Ty Jerome or trade for another guard. I think he's going to be their first guard off the bench.
Who better, dude? That's another guy I saw at Summer League, and I was like, that is a tiny little guy.
He looks, I've said this before on the podcast, he looks like a child on an NBA
Dude,
court.
He really does, yeah.
You know how, like, I talked about this with Reed all last year, where I was like, I still like Reed, but, like, he really struggled as a rookie. He looks so small on the court, and I liked him before the draft, but every photo that comes out of Con Knipple in a Charlotte Hornets jersey, it's just, I start to get like bad chills on my body. Like, oh no, this is going to be the worst possible. Like, I like Con a lot in the draft, but when I look at him in what people have described as Disney Channel ass photos with Liam McNeely as the two pastiest white men who look like they could be my family members, I get a little bit concerned about what he could be in the NBA. I got the same feeling from Reed.
My thing with Khan, and this we can add this to the Hornets, is Khan is the first NBA player on the record to have grown up in a Bill Simmons media environment, and I there has to be some downstream effects of that.
Consequences, yeah. There's
consequences.
Yeah. Full life consequences, good or bad. We don't know.
Imagine you like Khan's getting ready for his third game, and somebody's like, "Hey, Khan, what are you listening to get hyped?" And he's like, life advice. Kyle's talking about mowing the lawn naked or whatever the fuck.
They're doing the cable guy on rewatchables this week. It's gonna be a good one.
Picturing Brandon Miller walking into the locker room like Tony Soprano, and Khan has his headphones on and he's laughing like AJ, clapping along to like cousin Sal and Bill doing over-unders, and he shuts it. He just looks at him like Tony Soprano. Like,
exactly, yeah.
Harry, are you aware that Khan might have consumed some of our content?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
When I listened to that episode and he said, "Oh, I saw someone posted some of your highlights,"
I had that exact thought.
I was like, "Wait, is that us?" If Khan is a hog, then there's no way he can fail. Actually, there's a large chance he does fail.
I believe I'm on record saying that if he listens to us, unfortunately, his NBA career is over before it's even started. Yeah. But
he, just like how Mo Bamba could join the Ringer in 7 years, Khan, in 7 years when we have the YKB Empire, you're more than welcome to join the team.
You're a cool guy. That means you're a cool guy. I worry about your athletic prowess.
We do need people for the right wing tier on the Patreon too, so that will be a good addition. Khan will bring an interesting perspective that we don't bring to the table as the Babylon Bees #1 prospect in this draft. So anyway, good point with the Hornets. Sam, I feel like you were crazy about the Hornets offseason in a good way. Was that true, or am I making this up?
No, I think you're projecting on me. I don't.
Or maybe I just thought it because I was like, this just feels like, yeah, I like what the Hornets are doing. It's a classic contrarian Sam take.
Not this one. Any weapon formed via Liam McNeely, I am against. Like I am 100%. Liam McNeely is the worst player I've ever seen in my entire life. And I don't say that lightly. I've seen a lot of bad players.
So they did draft two of the guys you kind of liked in this draft, though, in Kalkbrenner. Didn't you like Kalkbrenner?
Yeah, I like Kalkbrenner. It's fine. That's a lot of white guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is
a lot of white guys.
Yeah,
it's a lot of white guys, and I didn't love.
They brought a Plumlee back.
I didn't love some of the quotes about them getting culture guys.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
What culture are you talking about? Because if you
better list Zion James first there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I do like Zion James too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like
they drafted 4 guys, and 2 of them will probably end up being decent NBA players.
I was lower on Khan than I think a lot of people. So, like I had Khan, I think 6 or 7. Like so, I don't think. I think they probably should have taken more of a swing at that point in the draft, but other than that, I don't really care. C is kind of where I'm leaning. So
C,
yeah,
okay. All right, yeah, I think C's fine. I think this is just the other moves they made. They got Pat Connaughton in a salary dump. They got Spencer Dinwiddie on a 1-year deal. They have a lot of fucking guards, dude. Colin Sexton.
They're gonna be bad again, and again, they're the junior version of the Pelicans, where it's the same problem. It's like, okay, so is LaMelo Ball your franchise player or not?
Yeah. My favorite part of their offseason is that they reacquired Vasilij Micic and traded him within a few days. They got him back 4 months after they traded him, and then traded him again, and he got bought out by the Bucks.
See, my favorite part of the Hornets offseason was the revelation that LaMelo Ball has a Mario Kart style fucking golf course, course on the roof of his house.
Oh yeah, that's an old one. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh yeah. Well, first off, it looks like an apartment complex.
Okay, well, I'm just saying,
it looks like somebody else's home that he's built a go-kart track on top of.
Let's just say, well, I don't like the idea of him being around with motor vehicles around pedestrians, I guess.
Especially that high up.
Yeah, I don't think that's like a good thing He's gonna be like me, like 8-year-old me, like, you know, trying to do Yoshi Valley. You know what I'm saying? He's got to careen off the side.
All right, Jonathan.
Did the Hornets hire a Lakitu?
Jonathan does bring up a good point. I have to bump the Sixers drafted VJ Edgecombe. I'm not putting them in the same tier as the Wizards and the Hornets. I have to bump them up one spot. That's a very good point.
Fair enough.
But anyway, yes, LaMelo Ball is currently living out the plot of Richie Rich. That is basically his life. In a place where he doesn't want to live.
Yeah, Richie Rich mixed with prison.
Yeah, he's hired LiAngelo to be the Lakitu. He has a little cloud and follows him around with the fishing line to fish him out of the fucking river whenever he falls in.
It's very funny. They're like, "Yo, Clippers, wake up and trade for LaMelo," and it's like, bro, you don't play games. Like, if you don't play games, no one's paying you a max contract, dude, in 2025.
The Charlotte Hornets. And, they suck, but they sucked when this started. They're going to suck after it. It's C. They
will just always be the worst team in the NBA, or at least in the bottom 5. I don't think there's anything they could possibly do. Like, there's nothing they could do to
if they added Jokic, like would they'd be like a 43 win.
Well, first off, Jokic would just retire.
Yeah.
Anyway. There's no way for them to ever be even competent. It is amazing that it's still going on. But all right, the Bucks, because the Bucks did some things. The Bucks drafted another guy who's going to suck. Although a Serbian person did tell me how to pronounce his name in the comments.
No, you're not slandering our boy, Vocal Joe.
First off, he laid out, Sam, if you want to learn how to pronounce his name, it's actually not far off from what you said. I just kept getting it wrong. So he was like, "You're very offensive. Can you please stop slaughtering our language?" But that guy, thank you, to shout out to him for pointing that out in the comments. The Bucks brought back Bobby Portis, Taurean Prince, Ryan Rollins, Jericho Sims, Gary Trent Jr., and Kevin Porter Jr. They added Gary Harris and Miles Turner, and they lost Vasilij Micic. They waived and stretched Dame. Brook Lopez walked, and they lost Pat Connaughton. Honestly, when I say it out loud, it sounds better than what I've been thinking, even though I still think this team is mid.
I'll just say it. I think this was an A.
An A?
I think this was an A. Considering what was available to them. What more could they have done? I guess not re-sign Bobby Portis is probably like the only thing I wouldn't have done.
I feel like everyone they brought back is just like a big name that's actually not that good. Like that's the big thing for me with the Bucks. Actually, if there's anyone who's the opposite of that and has potential to be like decent, it's probably Ryan Rollins, because he's still like relatively young and is like a good defender and can shoot and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. The Damian Lillard wave and stretch combined with bringing in Miles Turner and losing. I know Brooklyn. I don't know. There's nothing the Bucks could have done that I would have liked. Is all I'll put it.
They're in a bit of the same spot as the Warriors, where they're like, this is how these things end. You over leverage your team for a few years ago, and then you have to pay the
piper.
Yep, Rollins, Warriors second timeline legend. I absolutely. One thing I'll say is the Vasilij Micic, that guy, I watched him play like 2 quarters of a few Hornets games. Mm-hmm. Legitimately looked like a Make-A-Wish kid.
Yeah, like, he fucked up. Yeah, he should have came over when he was like 25. Mm-hmm. He was already unathletic, and now he's like 32. And he waited to come over to the NBA until it was like, you know that the Sixers drafted him in 2014, right?
I did not, but
we drafted Sam Hinkie drafted him in 2014.
Amazing.
We held his rights for 6 years, and we were like, all right, I guess this guy's never coming over. And then we traded him to the Thunder, and then they tried it, and he was just too old. He was already kind of like it was going to be an uphill battle for him. Yeah. But because he decided to come over when he turned 30 and then was in the league from 31 to 32, it was just like he was never going to have a chance to get his fucking career off the ground. And now he's going back to Europe, so he'll be fine there. But they waived. I think they bought him out.
Waive him? Okay.
Yeah, they bought him out, so he won't be playing for them next year. But
Bogolyub
There you go, Bogleyub. So you went to the comments and you read it?
Dude,
No, I googled the pronunciation guy because I got to know who my guy is. He's gonna be a demon.
Like, the Milos Tedesic
yes
highlights, dude, when he first was thinking about coming over, were so sick.
That's exactly the comp that I would make. Is like if Milos came over 5 years prior, he might have had a career, but because he waited so long.
And smoked 8 cigarettes all
yeah,
day.
exactly. If you live a European lifestyle, you're basically like 90 years old by the time you're 32.
Mm-hmm.
So
that seems impossible to be, because like it's not like Americans. We have like we get literally fed corn slop like every day. You know what I'm saying?
I want to say I do just want to say they have good healthcare though, so they're able to keep themselves alive. Americans treat themselves like garbage, and we just die.
Yeah, well,
we don't get to.
We just don't have health care.
That's what I'm saying.
We're treated like fucking
exactly.
Like fucking like cattle, like just bovine. Here, eat your corn slop, have your kids to keep going to your jobs, and then die at 56.
Exactly. We all just get cancer and die early. So the difference is that in Europe they have something called healthcare, and they can just live and vibe and do whatever they want, and they can live to be,
Yeah, they just have fun all the time.
Yeah, they're just vibing.
Issue. And Americans get so mad at that. No, you're supposed to want to kill your neighbor.
God damn it!
Your lawn. Fuck you, bitch. Oh, I hate you.
That's so true. Do Europeans not want it enough?
Yeah. They need to lock in more.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna. All right, so Sam said A.
Yeah, I think it's. What could they have done better? I don't know.
I'm gonna. I'll give you. I was gonna give it a C because I think they're just kicking the can down the road.
I mean, they are, but like,
are there any blow it up trade Giannis perverts out there?
No. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I am so fucking sick of the Giannis conversation.
Yeah.
And we tried to do it this year, and my heart just wasn't in it. Like, I was just like, yeah, I guess they'll trade. And then he just doesn't ask out. And then he's also their GM.
Yeah.
Like, Giannis is basically doing what LeBron and KD did, but LeBron and KD at least had the threat of leaving, whereas Giannis is like, I might leave. And they're like, we know you're not leaving yet. Like, we're going to try as much as we can, but we know that, like, we're not trading any super far out picks anymore. Like, the Dame trade was the last time. And if we need to spend a little bit more and wave and stretch Damian Lillard and go get Miles Turner and try to make our team better, sure, that's fine. But we're just going to give you a puncher's chance. And that's kind of all we can do is Giannis is never going to leave. And if he does leave, it's because this is a disaster this year. Like, it's like someone gets hurt and then they're playing like G League players, which could happen very easily with this team. And then they win. They're like 10 games below 500. And he's like, all right, now you can trade me. Like, we tried it, is my point, is that like he's giving them every opportunity to salvage this. And I don't see a championship in their future. Just, I think the NBA has changed so drastically during Giannis's prime that, like, a few years ago, you could have 4 good players and win the championship like the Bucks did. And now it's like you need to have like 7 good players, and the Bucks have like 2.5. This is my whole thing. So anyway, I'll give their offseason a B, even though I'm not a big fan of what they did. But also, like Sam said, what was the alternative? Sam, Raptors. I need your take on the Raptors. What did they got
rid of Masai. They let Masai do the draft and then fired him. Like, I don't like. So they drafted what? CMB, which, like, I was not the biggest CMB guy, but like, he's a player, like, he's a guy, so like, it's fine.
It's just the funniest team that could have drafted him.
Yeah, like, he doesn't fit, but nobody fucking fits there. Nobody fucking fits there. If they did remind you, what
they did get Mamu.
A is A too strong?
That's their only addition. They re-signed Jakob Poeltl to the 4-year extension, which, once again, everything that the Raptors do, I go, that's fine in a vacuum, but it makes no sense on the Raptors.
Right. It's just like they are going to be a second apron team. they're going to be a second apron team that didn't make the play-in. That's unreal. Like I'm sorry, that is the definition of bad GMing. Like expensive and bad is terrible, dude. I'm sorry. I'm done pretending. Like now that Masai is gone, like the mask is off because Masai lent this joke of an organization a little bit of credibility like 5 years ago. This has been one of the worst run organizations for the past half decade, which is insane.
We've said that over and over.
Pretty good NBA city. You have literal psychopath fans that are like dying for a good team. This is not, this is not Charlotte where there's like apathy and nobody really fucking cares and whatever. This is a team that won the title not that long ago, and it has just been fucking malpractice ever since then. I'm sorry, you can't blame this all on Masai either. Like Bobby, their whole fucking GM. I'm sick of Zach Lowe running fucking cover for this team. They must just be the nicest guys in the world, or have Mossad style fucking compromise on fucking every member of the NBA media class besides Russillo, because he was the only person I heard say anything negative about them last year. This is absurd. They gave Emmanuel Quickly $35 million.
Okay, but hold on. It is very funny that they decided to give him that contract. And we were shocked at the time when they gave him that contract because we were like, what? And then after they gave him that contract, the entire NBA was like, we do not value Emmanuel Quickly type players anymore. Like they instantly decided no more of that. Like, and it feels like particularly bad timing combined with just horrible management. And once again, they traded Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk's expiring contracts for Brandon Ingram. Okay, that's fine, like good, I guess. But then they turned around and they gave Brandon Ingram a big bag, and they still have RJ Barrett on this team, who is completely redundant with their other best players.
Now that you fired Masai, can you like at least pretend like go fucking blow this up? Like they can't even fucking do that, dude. Like it's. They might be like, honestly, like if they have to be thanking their lucky stars that the Phoenix Suns like exist, because they would be the grimmest like future in the NBA. Like if it weren't for the Suns, like this is terrible.
They have their picks at least. That's the one.
It doesn't fucking matter because they never end up like trying to be bad. They're insane, dude. Like they're not going to trade any of these guys. They're going to be exactly like treadmill of mediocrity. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate that term because you can build towards something, but that requires your team making an iota of sense. This team makes no fucking sense, is expensive, and is ass. I'm sorry. This is the definition of a terrible situation. Because here's the thing: even if they decide to blow it up, the absolute best asset you have is Scotty Barnes. And what is Scotty Barnes on a max contract like really worth in trade value in today's like
not
NBA?
Right now? That's the thing, is that the way that this CBA has moved, teams are like petrified right now to trade for those style of contracts on those with those players. So
none of these guys have trade value. None of these guys have trade value is why they're so fucked. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I have one thing to say though.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win a lot of games next year.
Do you really?
I really do.
Wow.
I could get there if their team literally made any sense at all. I think on effort and like just like random like go off games from Brandon Ingram or whatever, they'll probably drag themselves to like competency. I don't see them winning more than like 40 games. Like that's like their ceiling.
They are my pick for that random Utah season where they started out 30 first 30 games, like won a bunch of games before self-sabotaging.
Sure.
Where I often think NBA media underrates just having like 6 grown men on your roster that play, leading to winning a kind of good chunk of regular season games. So I and they're like my number one pick for I guess they do start a bunch of 30-year-olds, and there's a few games there's at least a game a week where you're matching up against a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Sure, right. And we've talked about this as like, if you like, the Rockets were our team for that last year, where you can just farm regular season wins. What Harry was trying to say is that the other team will be playing 30-year-olds, and that you guys will have a ton of youth essentially that will just farm regular season wins like the Grizzlies did a few years ago. If maybe I They don't start. They the only 30-year-old they start is Jakob Poeltl.
Well, but okay, sorry, I don't mean 30-year-olds. I mean just like mid-career
prime
NBA
guys. Sure,
yeah,
guys that are like
guys
25 to 30. Sure,
exactly. Versus the 19-year-old kids or the busted ass people.
The sweet spot is what you're trying to say. But the thing that I want to pull back here is that if they traded RJ Barrett for literally nothing, I think they would be a better team. Because that solves a few issues for them, which is like, okay, we need one less guy with the ball, one less guy who's a bit of a defensive liability, and we have one less guy who is just clogging up all of our spacing. Like if they cut RJ Barrett today and started Ochai Agbaji, they would probably win 7 more games next year. I feel like that's So anyway, oh god, the Bucks reportedly checked in on RJ. Grossest trade of all time, Kuzma for RJ. Who says no?
God. Oh.
Who says no?
The Bucks win that trade, by the way. RJ's
I think RJ's better than
Kuzma. Like 100%. Like he plays a more valuable. Kuzma's like a 3-4. Like RJ's a 2-3. That's a more valuable.
I don't even know what Kuzma is, dude.
Bad.
Also, I don't know about that. I just think that they both stink and that RJ's a little bit better.
Harry, sorry, you had to go.
Yes, yes, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, that's fine. We go sicko mode. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for joining, Harry. Go check out our podcast with Harry and Patrick from last week. Nothing But Respect podcast. One of the best podcasts we ever did.
Dude, it was really fun.
It was really, really good. So
great podcast, and also subscribe to Nothing But Respect. Great conversations. A friend of the pod, Ox Portello, a frequent guest on there too. Yeah. So definitely check the fellas out.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Peace, dude.
All right,
thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
Yeah. That was honestly I'm not exaggerating when I say that was probably one of my favorite podcasts, if not my favorite podcast we've done. It was a great episode.
It's great. Yeah. We do really good when we're on a podcast that's not ours.
We cook as guests.
Yeah, we're goated guests.
We're kind of away merchants. We're not so good playing at home, but we're away merchants. Uh-oh. Did I just drop out again? God damn it. Can anyone hear me? I don't know why the internet's okay. Cool. All right, it's Sam that's gone. Got it. This is the third it's the rainstorm. Yeah, that's a good call. But yeah, we're away merchants. We can't thrive when we're on our own podcast. It's only when we're the away team. But Sam.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had a great time though. I love chopping it up with the boys. So
yeah, it was awesome. All right. So what other teams made big moves this offseason? By the way, we never graded the Raptors here.
18 teams left. This is our all-time performance by us. This is a here's the problem is that we're in this bad situation beforehand. I would give them a D.
Okay.
I don't know, but CMB is like a fine pick though.
I like their draft.
I
like their draft. And then they just extended, but it's kind of like the Bucks where it's like you already made your bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
so maybe it's C. Is it C?
All right. So CMB.
I'm already getting killed by the Raptors in the comments.
I don't care.
Post this YouTube link. So
yeah, who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's just get the Knicks out of the way real quick because they didn't really do much, and I think Noah's requesting that in the comments. They got Jordan Clarkson on a vet minimum. They got Yabu for $5 million. They honestly they hired Mike Brown. They didn't really do anything in the draft. They should do. They should do what they did. Like the East is wide open next year. I'm gonna say that
it's them and the Cavs.
It's gonna become.
Oh, yeah. So they really want us dead on this podcast. They really want us dead. Is that was Trill this time, right? You guys can still hear me.
Well, fuck, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, Mike. They don't want to hear us, dude. I mean, look. They're the best. I think they're the presumptive favorites. I think the big weakness with this Knicks team was that they were 6 deep, and I do think
they were what? What was that?
6 deep.
Oh, okay. Well. Yeah,
I mean, are we going to make a Cam Bain argument? Like, I don't know.
No. Deuce McBride was their 7th man because they had Mitchell.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
8. Sorry, 7 deep. 7.
They were 7 deep. Yeah. I mean, I got into it with a Knicks fan the other day because I said Campaign's better than Jordan Clarkson, but also you got Jordan Clarkson on a vet minimum. It's a flyer. Maybe you even bring Campaign back as like a deep bench guard. I think he's still a free agent at this point. And then I like the Yabu signing for them as a bench guy, like an eighth man.
I think that was like one of the best free agent signings of the offseason.
I mean, that probably says more about the free agency class than it does. Yeah, than it does about. But no, Yabu at like $5 million or whatever he's making next year will be a good regular season guy for them.
I think he could have some use in the playoffs.
He cannot. I'm telling you right now. I love Yabu. I love Yabu. He cannot play on a team that has Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. Maybe he could play 5 minutes when Karl Anthony Towns is on the bench.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying he gives them another look. Like,
his defense is really not good.
The Knicks' problem is they have one look. Sorry, they have two looks.
He's a good offensive player though. Like he can space the floor. He attacks closeouts well. He can run some dribble handoff. He'll set screens. And honestly, on a team, like one of his biggest weaknesses is that when we had to play him at the 5, just because our alternative was Andre Drummond, and he is not capable of really anything in that. Like he's not good enough at rebounding or rim protection or anything like that to be a 5. But on a team like the Knicks, where you have a ton of positive rebounders, if you run out some double big lineups with him and Mitch, and then maybe play him with Hart when Hart is also, kind of one of the wings in a lineup, it could work. It absolutely could work.
I like it. I really
in the regular season, I think it could be good for them. But yeah,
I think it gives them a little bit of. They didn't really have a small.
He might be a roulette wheel. He might be a roulette wheel playoff player that has like 1 or 2 games. But I don't think you can rely on him as like a rotation piece in the playoffs. I really don't think that he has the level of defensive juice.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. I thought that was fine. I mean,
I watched Yabu a ton this year. I'm just telling you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just want to say the thing that was bad about the Knicks offseason was that they basically did the PR equivalent of the opening scene of Something About Mary, where Ben Stiller zips his dick up in his fucking fly, and like they have to come like airlift him out before prom. That was their coaching search essentially.
Yeah,
just
I like Mike Brown for them though, because I think that they're kind of at the point. It's kind of similar to the Nick Nurse hire from a few years ago, where it's like, fuck it, let's go all in on a guy who might fit with exactly what we need. And could it blow up and kill all the vibes? Yes, but also he's at least a tactical offensive coach, and I think that's what they need.
Yeah, that's true. I thought it was like a fine offseason for them.
Let's give him a B.
I was gonna say
they had nothing to work with,
but like
they should run it back.
Yeah.
There wasn't a ton they could do, but it's the right thing to do to give them a B. So all right. So we haven't talked about the Nuggets, who actually made moves. The Nuggets didn't really do anything in the draft, but they did decide to go out and get Cam Johnson, traded Michael Porter Jr. in a far out first to do that. They also signed a few guys on the vet minimum that probably will be in their rotation immediately in Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bruce Brown. They are currently holding Jonas Valanciunas hostage. That's that situation. Have you been following that, Sam? Do you know what's going on with that right now?
No, I need to learn. I need to educate myself.
You're going Chuck Schumer mode right now with your glasses.
What did he do?
Oh, what did Jonas Valanciunas do? He said,
they did what to him?
Yeah.
They did what to him?
So Jonas apparently is staying because they guaranteed his contract for next year. So they're not just paying him $10 million this year, but they're paying him $10 million next year too.
Well. Serbia once again capturing a Lithuanian person and holding them against their will. Wow, I don't even know if that's true.
That just feels like not. Yeah. That feels like ahistorical, but okay, I'm gonna let you
go. Sure. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that. I don't know. Worth a shot. There's been a lot of history in the Balkans. I'm sure it happened at some point. Lithuania is not in the Balkans.
I thought you were talking about the Jonas Valanciunas. It was worth a shot. Yeah,
it's worth a shot. No, I mean, like, look. Eastern Europe, we're not beating I'm not beating the offensive to Eastern Europeans allegations.
What did you think about the Jonas Valanciunas move?
Hold on. I'm doing this for Dua Lipa. Albania on number 1. Anyway, so continuing. Serbia will never win. So that's gonna fuck up our YouTube. I think it's like so the Jonas Valanciunas. I mean, he's a rotation player. They went from having like no rotation players to having a ton of rotation players.
Okay, so here's the thing.
What?
They got a bunch of guys that we know, but I'm not sure how good they are anymore. Like,
here's the thing.
Tim Hardaway Jr. will eat minutes for them in the regular season. Bruce Brown, maybe he's better going back to Denver. Cam Johnson is very obviously an upgrade on Michael Porter Jr. No one would argue against that. Except for every NBA podcast calling it the worst trade of the last. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but Bill, in the span of a year, went from saying that Cam Johnson had one of the worst contracts in their worst contract draft when we called him out for that like a year and a half ago. Not even a year and a half ago. It was like 14 months ago. And between then and now is now saying that this Nuggets Nets trade is the worst trade that he's seen in the last decade.
For
the Michael Porter Jr. with the far out pick.
Who's he saying lost?
He's saying for the Nuggets, for the Nets, it's one of the worst trades of all time. So he went from saying that Cam Johnson's contract was so bad that it should go in the worst contracts draft to a year later saying them getting Michael Porter Jr. and a far out first is one of the worst trades he's ever seen.
That's why he's the GOAT. He's just like me. Just no consistency. You just say whatever pops into your head and hope everyone forgets.
Keep moving on.
That's why he's the GOAT.
Unfortunately, he has 1 million listeners and we only have a few thousand. So.
That's his sensei. Well, this is what I'm saying. We're trying to replicate that kind of consistency.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Okay. I'm going to read you some names. Jalen Pickett, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther, DeAndre Jordan. So I don't care how bad those guys are. They improved over that. Like Deron Holmes, like who knows, could be anything. We both liked him in the draft. Didn't play last year. Like could be okay.
Poor Achilles. That feels like a long way back. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is an S, and the reason I went Chuck Schumer mode. We're looking at our 2026 NBA champions.
I did like their offseason. I like bringing back Bruce Brown. I think it's fine to get the Jonas Valanciunas move. I would feel better about it if I think Jonas is washed, and I think that it's probably going to be a thing where he only needs to play 10 minutes in the regular season. But if any team helped themselves the most just from season to season, literally just signing any player who can play on the veterans minimum. Like, did Calvin Booth not know that you're allowed to do that?
He might not have. Yeah.
Did he ever do it?
No. We're about to find out if Mike Malone mattered as a coach too. I'm going to guess no.
Well, we already know he didn't matter as a coach because they took a better team to 7 games a year after they fired him.
Yeah.
I'm fine with putting this in the S tier. I thought that they were active. I think they did the best chance they can to.
Can I go one step further? This is the best. I think this is the best starting 5 in the NBA. Now, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown.
It's possible.
Gordon, Cam.
Very
Johnson,
complimentary of each other. Insane offense.
Yeah.
Superstar player. Yeah, no, they might have the best starting 5 in the NBA.
I think they've got the best starting 5 in the NBA. I think they've got the best player. I think they're the team to beat. I'm going to be picking. I don't know if they might be like, again, the regular season stuff has always been their things, but without injuries, I'm probably going to pick them to win 60 games and they're going to be my pick to win the NBA title unless something crazy happens this offseason. I think they nailed it out of the park. I think that with Cam Johnson trade was a no brainer. And I think they got a lot of bodies that can play NBA basketball and gave themselves a good chance to win. So I think they had an excellent offseason and again, put themselves in a really good position to win another title. So
they had a really good offseason. Let's just get a few of these out of the way. Is there anyone that didn't really, by the way, Pacers, horrible offseason.
Yeah.
Lost Miles Turner for nothing.
I don't want to doubt Demon Pritchard. I really don't, but
the J Huff's flyer was good.
Yeah.
Like to get him for what, 2 seconds? They got him for a second round pick and a flip. Oh, they did get their pick back.
Yeah. That was pretty smooth.
Yeah, they really saw, because I forgot that happened during the finals.
Yeah.
They took
Does that count as the offseason?
I think it technically does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting their pick back, honestly, if I were them, I might take things apart a little bit more. Like we talked about the Celtics doing this and taking a step back.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna suck next year without Halliburton, I'm not saying you have to, but like you already let Miles Turner walk.
Yeah.
The damage is already a little bit done.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
once Miles Turner is gone, my argument was gonna be you can't do that because this team is just such a weird chemistry thing. But once one guy is gone, that's out the window. Like
we have Slop.
Wow.
Devin Booker has signed his
Devin
extension. Okay, so that means the Beal buyout is coming soon.
Wow.
2 years, $145 million. That's amazing.
That is $70 million player maximums. Tears in my eyes, man.
Yep.
That is kind of insane. Like, I really liked Devin Booker. At one point, I think he was the 5th best player in the NBA. That's kind of insane to pay Devin Booker $70 million.
I mean, it is very appropriate that they're about to buy out Bradley Beal.
Can you imagine going back in time and telling him when he was the 5th man on Kentucky? Like, you're gonna be $70 million a year.
You're gonna sign a contract where you make $150. Hey, Devin, you're gonna make $150 million in the NBA. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. In 2 years, over the course of 24 months, you will make $150 million. In 2014, we're telling him this.
Booker and owner Matt Ishbia met in Las Vegas tonight to finalize the contract, which cements Booker's commitment to the Suns' vision for the future and his as the franchise leader moving forward.
Let's talk about the Suns.
Booker now has 5 years and $316 million total on his Suns deal.
Awesome. I didn't even realize that he has 5 years. Man.
Dog.
I say this is
$1 billion for the 12th best player in the NBA, and that's being pretty generous. A guy who didn't make All-NBA last year. Like, even if he hit the games limit, would you have voted him All-NBA?
Not for last year. 2 years ago, I would have.
Yeah.
But no. Hell yeah, dude. This is incredible.
Wait.
Let's go.
Yeah, Evan. Yeah, let's give Evan his flowers. We're not rewarding the ambulance chaser shams on here.
Demon Cider, he said at the beginning of this podcast, the news would break.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So, all right. Phoenix Suns, by the way, the most important move of their offseason, I'm about to say to you right now, they re-signed Colin Gillespie, which huge move. They re-signed Colin Gillespie. Demon, the next Jalen Brunson. They brought back Dylan Brooks. I'm sorry, they traded for Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green. By the way, I don't know if do you remember they signed Nigel Hayes?
Yeah.
I forgot that. New Yabu just dropped. They brought him over. They traded for
Wisconsin GOAT, Nigel Hayes. Put some respect on his name.
No, they got him for when they get to the NBA Finals and they play the Knicks, and then all the Knicks guys get PTSD from the Villanova Wisconsin game in the NCAA tournament. I've already talked about this on stream before. They traded Kevin Durant. They let Tyus Jones walk in free agency. Cody Martin, Vasilij Micic, and Mason Plumlee are also all gone. They drafted Malawatch, which we loved.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And they got Rasheer Fleming in the second round. I can't believe I'm about to say this. I think they're between their situation was already so bad that like it's kind of similar to the Bucks where it's like no matter what they did, I would have been like, who cares? But at least they got a.
Can I say something though? This Booker extension is bad.
Yeah, the Booker extension's not great, but also once again, they're basically doing what the Bucks do with Giannis, but instead of the top 3 players,
that's what I'm saying though. But he's bad. He's not gonna have trade value. Nobody's trading for $70 million Devin Booker in the double apron era.
Yeah,
that's the relax man. You could have it. The white knuckle guy holding onto the burger like that.
We're putting the Suns in the C tier and the Pacers in the D tier.
Okay.
I think the draft trading Kevin Durant and not best player because the best player they got back is Malawatch, but them trading for Jalen Green. I'm sorry, dude. When your best player is Devin Booker, to trade for Jalen Green is just insane. I will say I think Beal's going to be solid for the Clippers. I think that's a better context for him. He would have been a disaster if he went back to the Suns. So
Yeah.
I'm factoring in the buyout and wave and stretch as a positive for them.
Yeah.
Everything that they've done is just like, no matter what they do, they're fucked. So to get Malawach and Fleming in the draft, to get a little bit more younger at athlete, I still think this team's going to stink next year, to be clear. But like, at least steps in the right direction for moving forward.
We're getting pushed back on our Pacers D grade.
Why?
Because they're saying
they let Miles Turner walk to the Bucks for no reason other than the fact that they were cheap. I'm not rewarding them for that. He just got to the NBA Finals for you.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough, especially outside of any other context.
Yeah.
Do we do our beautiful Nets next?
I mean, their draft was a disaster. There's no way around it. Their draft sucked. I
think their offseason's been fine. Like they're like,
what else have they done this offseason? The Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr. trade?
Yeah, and I like that trade for them. I think that was a win-win. I think that was a win-win trade. I really do. I like that trade for both sides. I think that made a lot of sense for both sides. So
I don't disagree with that. I'm fine with both sides because I don't think that Michael Porter Jr. is. Look, I think he's overrated in a Jokic merchant and all that stuff, but I also think that I don't even know if we would say he's overrated because everyone kind of talks about him like he sucks now, and he doesn't flat out suck. He's an NBA starter. They got Terrence Mann and the 22nd pick in that one trade just for free. They got Michael Porter Jr. They re-signed Day'Ron Sharpe on a good contract. They brought back Zaire Williams. They lost D'Angelo Russell, Trendon Watford, Sixers legend, and Cam Johnson. And I hated their draft. So
I say D. I think the trade moved them out of the FTR. I think it's a D.
They have $20 million in space. What are they going to do with that space, though?
That's fine. The trade deadline. Somebody needs to be a trade deadline.
They'll probably bring back Cam Thomas on like a reasonable deal.
Yeah.
He's also still a restricted free agent. All right. Yeah.
I think it's a D. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so who do we have next here? Do we want to do Lakers with the Ayton move? We talked about the Ayton move. They lost Dorian Finney-Smith. They drafted a Dutero in the second round.
They got a Dutero.
I like that's a great flyer for them to take in the second round.
Yeah, sure.
And then Ayton,
they pissed off LeBron James.
They brought back Jake LaRavia. They brought in Jake LaRavia.
That's a good signing. I think that was
a solid signing for like $4 million a year, $4 or $5 million a year. I think it was.
Didn't they give Jackson Hayes not a minimum, or am I making that up?
No, they gave him a minimum. It was a minimum, but it was one of those minimums that comes with the no trade clause, and everyone freaked out, and then he waived the no trade clause. And I was like, why do we do this every year? There's always like 20 guys who get like the 1 year vet minimum deals that they're going back to their team and then they just waive their no trade clause. And it happened with Kyle Lowry on the Sixers last year. I think Kelly Oubre's contract was set up like that last year. Like it happens every year, but the Lakers basically lost Dorian Finney-Smith and they added DeAndre Ayton and Jake LaRavia. And then they took a Dutero. I actually don't think it's as bad as now when I put it that way. Like, would you rather have Dorian Finney-Smith or would you rather have a potential starting center in DeAndre Ayton and a flyer on Jake LaRavia?
I would rather have Dorian Finney-Smith. Plays a position of so much more importance and is not ass. I don't think DeAndre Ayton is a starting caliber NBA center anymore. I know he was for the Suns. I think it's a D.
I think they're a C.
Well, we'll give it a C. We need a C to fill it out. So
I think they're a C. Yeah. Middle of the road. Not too bad. Not too good. Did the Thunder do anything other than draft Thomas Sorber?
Yeah, they ruined their franchise.
All right. Japanese soldiers checking in for his weekly correspondence here.
I'm just saying.
How is it on the island?
Is Chet Holmgren? We're sure Chet Holmgren's a max player. Really?
So, well, first off, this is why I don't understand. Someone was like, it's actually technically not a max. And I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, please just tell me what's a max contract and what isn't, because I don't give a fuck. Here's my thing with Chet. It's a risk. because of the injury stuff. I think if Chet had a clean bill of health, he would have looked a lot better, but it is a factor. It's not something you could just wave away. Like, he was much better before he got injured this year, but he's also been injured for 2 of his 3 seasons in the NBA. It's not something you can completely just be like, whatever. He got a lot of money to buy Oxtail. He could go maybe start his own clothing brand. He'll get a ton of money for picture books. I think it could really improve the vibes over there.
I forgot about the picture book.
But here's the other thing. If let's just say Chet Holmgren's contract sucks, what team in the NBA has enough draft capital to get off a max contract? It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, let's say he's injured and he never develops.
Picks. They're not going to need to attach picks.
We're not having the OKC conversation again.
Because you don't know. You want to know why? Because he's a Sacramento King. That has been written into the stars. He is the Sabonis. No, I'm telling you right now, that is the Sabonis era right now. Chet Holmgren will be a Sacramento King in 2027. Mm-hmm. Chat, clip this. Chet Holmgren is the most Kings player I've ever laid eyes on. They will get away with it. They're going to give the Thunder picks for Chet Holmgren in 2 years when no one else in the league wants to touch him. So
all right. So I actually am. Now look, I don't feel great about the Chet contract just because of the injuries. If he had a clean bill of health, it would have been a no-brainer for me, because even when he was ass in the finals offensively, his defense is still really fucking good. And if you ever think that he can get back to the track that he was on offensively with a little bit better, I don't even know if I want to call it injury luck at this point, but injury history. I feel, oh my God, fucking VJ Edge comes out again tomorrow. God damn it. This is literally ruining my night.
They're ramping him up for Vegas. It's fine.
He's playing. That's Vegas.
Oh, that is Vegas. Fuck.
That's against Harper too.
Damn it.
We were going to win another agenda battle. Damn it. We had one good game and now it's just, anyway, I'm going to continue. This is making me so mad. The Thunder just did the extensions and they drafted Thomas Sorber and that's it, right?
Yeah. And that was a great Sorber pick was awesome. I can't hate,
They're gonna re-sign J-Dub too later in the offseason. That's a
yeah. I mean, dropping the bit, they are gonna kind of have to do all of this stuff, and they are gonna kind of have to pivot out of it. I don't think the Chet extension in particular is gonna. I've moved. J-Dub has beat the allegations. He's off the hook. Chet is now in my Terminator sites as the pain piggy for the Thunder. I think the Chet thing is what's going to end up being the thing. But I think they actually had a pretty good offseason. I would say C or B, somewhere in there.
Let's just go see. It's
it's
what they should have done. It's not anything great. I like the Sorber pick, but I'm not blown away. But they also don't need to blow me away with their offseason.
They won the title,
champions.
Yeah, it's fun,
and they have a chance to win again next year. So
yeah.
All right. So all right, Chicago Bulls. They actually did some things.
Well, they're about to earn themselves an F here. It just hasn't happened yet.
With the Josh Giddey re-signing?
Yeah, when the second the Josh Giddey...
They're holding strong. I'm impressed with the fact that they didn't immediately give him the worst contract of all time. I anticipated it. I was like, day one of free agency, they're going to be like, here's $180 million, Josh Giddey.
Yeah. It's... fielding offers on Ayo Dosunmu per KC Johnson.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Maybe because they think Okoro's better. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I was what? He's 27, 26?
25, I think 25.
Oh,
26.
He's younger than I thought then. Yeah. I was going to say if he's they're a ways away, might as well trade him while he has value, but if not, I don't know, whatever. The second that Giddey extension hits the timeline, it's gonna be an F. It just will be.
I might be doing Sam Contrarian corner here. Yeah. I think they got way too much shit for the Lonzo Ball Isaac Okoro trade.
Yeah, I think it's a whatever.
I don't even like Isaac Okoro.
Yeah,
but Lonzo Ball is not the same player he used to be. He's just a very big name. and he only plays like a certain amount of games, a certain amount of minutes. Like, honestly, if you ask me who I would want moving forward, I might take Okoro, just because I'm certain that he will at least play games and he's still relatively young.
Yeah, and he who knows? Maybe the change of scenery.
I just think we got so used to them doing trades that suck that everyone piled on. And I was like, all right, this trade is not that bad, dude. The thing that was bad is that if the offer was Marcus Smart and that pick that the Wizards got, and they decided to go no to that, they also drafted Noah Essengay. I'm not the biggest Noah guy, but it's a good swing to take. I don't think the Bulls did that bad this offseason.
Yet. Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. What do we think of their draft? It's Essengay and
it was pretty much just Essengay, right?
Wasn't there another guy? Didn't they draft someone else? Like, I maybe that. That's I guess fine for where they picked. I think it's a C right now. We'll be dropping it to a D the second the Giddey extension comes in. But
we'll pop it and see. I really, honestly, the it's just hilarious. The immediate thought when they traded for Isaac Okoro was, I was like, oh, cool, they got guard Patrick Williams to play with Patrick Williams. But then I was like, I think Okoro's better just by default because he's not Patrick Williams.
He's strong, at least. He can play. I think he's going to replace Patrick Williams playing power forward.
Wait.
It's very funny.
I might want to drop him because I just remembered one thing.
What?
They extended the front office this offseason. Worst contract in the NBA.
Yeah, that might be. That's pretty bad. What? Quick question. What would the Giddey contract have to be for you to be okay with it? I have a number for myself.
like $7 million a year.
I was gonna say, I think at 20, I'm like, okay, sure. I think at 20, I'm like, okay, but there's just.
So you're saying $20 million a year?
Yeah, like 3 for 60 or something like that. I'd be like, okay, sure. That's fine.
Sure.
Like,
yeah, right. Yeah. No, someone sent me something very perverted. They asked me on TikTok earlier.
Yeah.
A very perverted. We're talking about Josh Giddey, so let's just go pervert mode here. They said it was basically Josh Giddey, and it was a sign and trade for Josh Giddey and basically Jonathan Kuminga, but Moses Moody had to be included for salary. I was like, the Warriors wouldn't do this because they just traded for Jimmy Butler. But if we did get a Josh Giddey for Kuminga sign and trade, I feel like Giddey would vault up into a level of the prestige zone that we've never seen before, where it's like, oh, the Warriors got Josh Giddey. Like everyone loved it when the Bulls took a flyer on him, and everyone thinks the Bulls are fucking idiots. Darn. So they would the way that people would pile on to the Bulls and talk about how great of a trade it is for the Warriors because he's like a nerdy player.
Man, Josh Giddey. I mean, that would be hilarious. Also, Kuminga and Patrick Williams doing the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other, but also
that's offensive to Kuminga.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
at this point, I think that Kuminga cares. I think if anything, he has the opposite problem. He probably cares a little bit too much.
That's true. Yeah,
I like that. Hold on before you continue. I like that me bringing up the concept of Josh Giddey being traded to San Francisco was such a softball for you for him to go to the Bay Area that it almost broke your brain and you couldn't even come up with a joke for it. Like you were like, Josh
I'm going to be honest. I got a little scared for us, with where my brain went. I was like, I can't say that. Like I have to redirect, softer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't Patrick Williams suck?
You're in the scope right now.
Yeah,
it feels like say one more thing.
No, I entered a Brace Belden state of mind where nobody but Brace Belden can operate in that space without immediately their head exploding like the Ark of the Covenant. So I had to come back into the mortal sphere. So. Right. Anyway, the Grizzlies doing training on Josh Giddey. Anyway, that's why Linda Yaccarino left.
Shout out to Linda, man, fellow Penn State alum. We're really proud of that one. A lot of a Penn State alum I can be proud of, and she's one of them.
Amazing.
Oh
God.
So the Grizzlies, do you like their offseason? They traded Desmond Bane for a bunch of picks. They flipped 2 of those picks into Cedric Howard. They got Ty Jerome on a scam contract. They re-signed Santi Aldama.
To a good deal.
Yeah, the Santi deal is kind of a little bit of a scam deal.
I think it's a B.
Yeah,
losing Bane, like, look, I don't like losing Bane, but everything else was pretty good, and they had to do something with one of these guys, and he was the only one who had trade value. So, like, look, I don't love that. I think they still need to, like, move away into reshaping. They have work to do. I think you need to trade John Morant probably at some point, and, like,
they did basically supermax Jaren Jackson Jr. was the other part of it. I know you're not a big fan of that.
I'm not. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I can't in good conscience just be giving shit to Chet Holmgren supermaxes and then turn around and say, actually, Jaren Jackson Jr. is fine.
Yeah.
You know,
they did get your guy Cole Anthony, but they're trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't think that moves the needle for them. Yeah, maybe it's a C. Maybe it's more of a C then.
Okay, so here's my thing. The reason why I'm not going to push back on it being a C is because of this. They took a step back and they took a calculated risk to trade Desmond Bane.
Yeah, and they got good picks. Like, I want to be clear about that. They got like 2 good Sun picks. Right?
The Suns one has real upside.
Yeah,
because it's going to be the second of the Wizards of the Suns. That could be like the 8th pick in the draft next year, and this could look out great for them.
Yeah,
they did trade 2 of those first already for Cedric Howard though, and Cedric Howard not playing in summer league because of his injury still. And somehow Mateo keeps bringing this up. He's like, so wait, this guy crushed workouts, but he still can't play from an injury that he suffered 6 games into the season. And we have so little tape of him playing against like legit college competition. And it caused him to go in the lottery of the draft. And Memphis gave up 2 firsts to make sure it gets done.
Play a game, coward.
Seriously, like I'm starting to be like, there's a little bit of I like Cedric Howard. I had him like 11th on my board, but like there's a little bit of red flags happening here. I'll say that much.
Do we start the play a game, coward t-shirts?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
We're taking it back. Jack Michael 17. We're finally defeating that.
Yeah. Now that Ben Simmons is out of the league, we can reclaim it.
We can reclaim it. Mm-hmm. I was playing Minecraft with Jack the other day, yesterday. So
shout out to Jack, man.
Shout out to Jack,
the OG of this shit.
My king. He's doing great.
Jack Michael. So yeah, we have that's why
I'm sad he's locked. I'm sad he's locked. That sucks that Twitter's like bad, that like pure souls like Jack Michael like can't just be out in the world anymore. But
anyway. I mean, with the perversion that goes on Twitter, it's probably better for his mental state. I mean, it is such a cesspit now. Every day I think about leaving. I'm like, I need to grow our followings on other platforms so that we don't have to rely on Twitter. It's really gross.
You take Instagram, I'll take TikTok, and we'll
Instagram. Fuck, dude. Instagram is just a dead zone at this point. Like, we literally, like, I post every single day there, and we get like 2 followers. TikTok, we're blowing up. YouTube's doing great. It's really, Instagram is literally like Facebook now. Like, it's tough to break through. It really is tough to break through. Anyway, follow us on all those platforms if you don't already.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to get up to 10,000 followers, and then I can monetize our TikTok. And then they're going to get rid of TikTok.
Yeah,
they're making an American version. So anyway, we're making money on YouTube, so it's fine. So all right, let's talk about the Blazers, who bought out DeAndre and moved back in the draft, but still got their guy Hanson Yang. By the way, what do you think the Hanson Yang pick says about Donovan Clingan?
I was thinking about that. Is it the Blazers think size is the future?
They're size queens.
Do we think Yang can play the 4?
No. I mean, offensively, sure. I mean, defensively, there's no chance that Clingan would have to play the 4 defensively, I feel like. So maybe if you're just saying the future is double bigs, like we're so in on double bigs now that we're playing 2 traditional 5s.
Yes. The Chinese Jokic is. I'm going to be honest. This is like one of those like off. This is my contrarian zag from the draft. Is that actually the Blazers are brain geniuses for drafting Hanson Yang, and he's my guy now.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
They've been scouting this guy for like 2.5, 3 years, apparently.
Yeah.
They just drafted what I think is one of the 5 or 6 best players from the last draft in Donovan Clingan. Now, look, Blazers. I've talked with Blazers fans about this. I've talked with Jay, who's the host of Millennials Are Killing Capitalism. We've talked about this before, and he's talked about he's worried about Clingan's offense, and he's like the hands are really bad.
Yeah,
he doesn't have any touch. Like he feels like it's going to be a tough sled for him. On offense, which I think that the Hanson Yang pick is hedging against him a little bit, but the defense and the rebounding is so fucking good that like I just feel like I know it was making
he'll be a useful player, you know, right? What I'm saying?
Like he might be like the best backup in the NBA or like a low tier starter, but like I think that he'll definitely be an NBA player for a very long time. He's massive. And once again. The thing about Ayton that if you want to drive home your point from earlier, Sam, the thing about Ayton is that the second that he was out of the lineup, they were better. And Clingan was a big part of that. Like Clingan's defense was amazing. Now it was down the stretch of the season, whatever, but Hanson Yang was so good that they said, we don't care about our pick last year, basically.
Well,
and they saw him at the Combine crush. He apparently played really well in FIBA. He not that the bar super high here, but he apparently dominated Alex Sarr in a game. I don't
know. I'm intrigued. I'm in on the Yang. We are in the American century of humiliation, and the Chinese century is coming. So,
are we Yang Gang now?
I'm Yang Gang now. I'm pro Yang. Much like James Gunn, I'm endorsing Yang.
They also traded Anthony Simons, who has virtually no trade value around the entire NBA, for Drew Holiday, and I do think that you guys probably sold another lemon because Drew's physical came back.
Okay, I want to talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
I
can't believe GMs are still dealing with the fucking Celtics, dude. It's unbelievable.
Is fucking Danny DeVito, Matilda, like her fucking dad who pours sawdust in the fucking carburetor before he sells the cars to the people. I can't believe when I saw that and that the Celtics like just didn't even argue. We're like, yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah, sure.
The
Sixers just did this with Caleb Martin a few months ago.
We did that. We did the Walter White. You caught me. Hand in the cookie jar. We were trying to fuck you over. Like our bad. Real demon hours for Brad. And now, according to Windhorst, we're like trying to flip Simons, which I didn't.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I might have to hand it to the dumbass 19-year-olds who scream at me on Celtics Twitter all year. They might have been cooking on that one. I was like, there's no way they're trading Simons, but at least they're trying. So
yeah, I don't know if he has any trade value because we've talked about the league completely devaluing that kind of player this offseason.
Well,
but
to kind of go back to the Blazers, that's kind of another reason to be kind of high on the Blazers. They did kind of get rid of.
Drew Holiday makes a lot more money. Yeah. But they have so many guys on cheap contracts, and they also have the Jeremy Grant deal. Ugh.
But here's the thing.
That's previous to this.
Getting Ayton and Simons out of there, it makes for a much better developmental context for your young guys.
I agree.
It helps you figure out Scoot. It helps you figure out Shaedon Sharpe.
I kind of like the Blazers next year. It's weird because the West is so good that it
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Harry talked about the Raptors. I think they're like the Raptors, but in a much better conference. But like his idea of what the Raptors could be, not my.
I agree. No, I actually do kind of like the Blazers as like a competent team. Like I think they could like every time they play an East team, like give them a scare. And then just get fucking dominated.
They're going to be amazing defensively. They're going to be amazing defensively. That's the one thing. Yeah. And like one of Scooter Sharp is going to be good. Like, I just think one of them has to be at least like starter level good.
I think it's Sharp. I think Scoot is like a 6-man type guy. I don't think he's like bad the way that we kind of worried about like his first year and a half in the league. But like,
anyway. And I'm hoping that this developmental context is good for Sharp. Like I hope that he finally figures some things out. So where do we want to put them?
Who did they draft? They drafted Yang.
We talked about that.
Drafted for Drew Holiday or traded for Drew Holiday.
The Drew I think bad, but it's they got him for nothing.
Yeah, I think it's a C. Probably, right? Like
I do think a little bit of addition by subtraction there, though.
It does, but I mean, you are like, I can't crush the Raptors for being expensive and bad, and then also be like, the Blazers are good with Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday.
Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams, and none of these guys.
Well, Robert Williams is expiring. Let's
so is Matisse Thybulle, but they don't play games. Is my point. Is that they? If I'm gonna rip the Bucks for just being like, we're taking $22 million in dead cap hit.
Yeah.
What do they really? They have potential to be. They have potential to be an all-time defensive team, though. Like,
yeah. Is Denny like their 5th best defender in their starting lineup?
Well, it's going to be Sharp.
Sharp. Yeah, no, it's going to be
whoever
Sharp.
Starts between those two.
Yeah.
But like Jeremy Grant's going to be like their 7th man. And then like if Thybulle and Robert Williams can play 40 games next year and they're like relatively normal defensively, they're going to be insane on defense.
Both of I'm dropping my Robert Williams kayfabe. Both of those guys, having those guys as like change of pace, like 5 minutes at a time, put them on the floor defense. It could actually be like very
creating
disruptive.
Extra possessions.
Yeah, like genuinely be like very disruptive to all of a sudden have Matisse Thybulle and like Rob Williams on the floor together. So
Denny, Klingon, and Tumani Kamara. Now I don't know how the fuck they're going to score, but they'll definitely be a top 7 defense in the NBA, if not top 5. Like
El Mencho, Jeremy Grant is still under contract for 3 more years.
Yeah. No. That's that. When we go, that will be making an appearance in the worst contracts draft.
Yeah,
very much so.
One of the worst ones left. Yeah,
it's wild, especially considering this new CBA and how tough it is to get off money. Like that's crazy.
It's tough.
All right. So the Wolves lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They re-signed Naz Reid.
Re-signed Julius.
They got Julius on a good deal. I wasn't as crazy about the Naz Reid deal, but look, he's a fan favorite. They were always going to keep him. They lost Luka Garza to your Celtics, which I know you're huge on. And then Josh Minot left, and then they drafted the French guy.
We also got Josh Minot. Yes.
Yes. Oh, you did. You got both of their guys.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of conference finals experience in the door.
Are you guys signing Charles Bassey too?
Somebody said that. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we do need bigs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I actually wouldn't hate that flyer for you guys because I think that Bassey can be a backup big. He's just always hurt. That's been his problem. Yeah, he's at the Celtics practice facility apparently. He had some moments as a rookie with the Sixers, but he's apparently just not been able to kind of hang around. He's still like 23 or 24. No, he's got to be older. He might be like 25 at this point. But anyway, he's probably cooked because he just never got off the ground. But
didn't love this from the Timberwolves. I'm going to be honest.
They just I don't like their drafted Baron J.
Yeah, I don't really like Baron J. They lost Walker. I mean, I guess they did re-sign like. What's Naz Reid's contract in AAV? It's like
25 million, I think.
25 million.
Yeah. You're the number one Naz Reid guy, so you turn it on.
I am, but like in this market,
with the way that everyone got paid this offseason, it does seem kind of crazy that he got 25 million. And I didn't like it at first because I was like, is he ever going to start for you? Like, you just brought back Julius Randle. You still have Rudy Gobert.
I don't like, much like how I don't like doubting Demon Pritchard. I don't like doubting Demon Conley, but
yeah,
I my first instinct is D here. I think they could have. I mean, look, it was a tough hand they got dealt. I like bringing back Julius at the number they got him on. Like, I would have liked them to have some sort of plan up their sleeve, and they didn't really.
I will say this much: I think they thought in advance with this stuff. Sorry, Dewey is rubbing his face all over my camera and it's moving everywhere. They thought in advance and they drafted Terrence Shannon Jr. last year.
That's true. Yes.
To replace Nickeil Alexander-Walker because they knew he was going to leave in free agency.
Yeah. And
the Baron J swing is a potential Gobert replacement. Dillingham was the swing to replace Conley. I don't know if that's going to work out, but I will say I think it's a C off season. I'll give him a C.
Okay, sure.
C's fine.
Sure. That's fine. Slop. Jordan McLaughlin has agreed to a 1-year, $3 million deal to go back to the Spurs.
Well, we have to move the Spurs up. Oh, we haven't even graded the Spurs yet. Let's say A plus then.
S, right? Yeah.
He was on the Spurs.
I don't remember
that.
I don't fucking remember that. Spurs actually
Aaron Fox trade.
He must have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spurs got Kelly Olynyk and
Luke
Luke Cornett.
2 of your quirked up white boys.
Quirked up white boys.
They lost Mamu though, who's another one of your quirked up.
They did lose Mamu, so that's an F actually. No, didn't they do something else that was kind of interesting? I drafted Dylan Harper, which like whatever. Yeah, I think they should have traded back, but I'm not convinced that's good for.
They drafted Carter Bryant.
Carter Bryant, which I like. That's good value, I think, at that position. And addressed a position in need.
Their team makes a little bit. Their team makes a little bit more sense with Carter Bryant getting 2 bigs in the door that are going to be playable next year.
It's kind of a lot of money for like Luke Cornett if you want to, because I don't think I think
the Luke Cornett contract's fine.
It's fine, but like I'm just saying, there's a lot of calculator rat numbers that are like he was the 5th best at rim defender in the NBA. And it's like
backup centers. They love analytics. Love backup centers. He's a solid player.
He's a solid player. I like Luke a lot. He gives them some spacing. He's going to be a good fit next to Wemby, or like backing up Wemby. He's a versatile contract. $10 million a year.
It's also not guaranteed beyond the first 2 years.
Yeah, so that's great. Good contract. Good for Luke. I think it's a B.
Yeah, I think they had a solid offseason.
Yeah.
I think that they made their team better. I think that I still think they need to make a little bit of decisions. I'm assuming they're going to try to bring back Sohan and kind of progress with him playing at the 4.
These guys can get squeezed now.
I would like to see the guard rotation make a little bit more sense, but like I've said before, I think that Castle can kind of fake as a 3, similar to like Braun or Josh Hart or someone in that mold. And I'm really excited to see what Dylan Harper looks like. I think it's cool that they got the 3rd best player in the draft at two though. That they got the 3rd best player with the 2nd pick in the draft, Sam. Anyway, continue. Sorry, I just had to get some VJ Edgecombe propaganda off there.
I think you're cooking. I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to let you cook, but
that's right. Yeah. All right. You want to rate your Celtics? What do you think? They got off a bunch of money that was not desirable. Drew and Porzingis. They brought in Luka Garza, Josh Minot. They drafted your guy Hugo Gonzalez and Amari Williams. Yeah,
the Amari Williams. Max
It is very funny because we all do this, but like it's especially funny when a team doesn't have any high picks and they're like, we really think the 47th pick in the draft is going to make a difference for us.
Well, in Amari Williams' case, the 41st pick in the draft, yes.
41st, I apologize.
42nd,
sure.
So whatever that was. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because they're also seemingly still in the middle of this stuff. Like, I don't know if George Niang like gonna like. We don't really know if like Niang or Simons or Hauser are gonna like be on the roster, so it's still kind of like an incomplete. I mean, I think they did really well to get off the money that they got off of, but they clearly like didn't have a plan. For like how to get under the tax, because I think that's the line. They want to get under the tax this season, which is why they're like not signing anybody to like a minimum. So like, look, when Tatum went down, I think it was what it was. I think, they didn't, it's hard for me to tell without knowing what deals they were saying no to for Jaylen Brown and Derek White.
Right.
I've generally been of the mindset you keep those guys because you need Tatum. You need somebody for Tatum to come back to and have a team. So I think that's like fine. I think you do the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander thing and fake Jaylen Brown's injury next year and try to, get your own Chet Holmgren next year. It should be the plan. But we'll see. I see, I guess, would be what I would say. I think it's like fine. I don't think it's a disaster. I don't think it's good. So
most teams they got off money. They were never going to be aggressive this offseason. I thought I'm surprised they weren't the team that did the Desmond Bane style trade. I'll say that much. I thought that they would have gotten someone out there to be like, we'll give you a ton for Derek White. And then went down that route, or Jaylen Brown, one of the two. And then they decided not to do that. Yeah. All right. The Cavs.
They just literally ran it back and lost.
No.
No, they lost. What's his
They
name?
traded Okoro for Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
They brought in Larry Nance Jr. He's
Larry
back home.
Nance, that's right. But then they lost their point guard guy. What's his back?
Ty Jerome, who
Ty
I
Jerome,
think they re-signed Sam Merrill for basically the same contract.
That's tough. That's really tough. Giving Sam Merrill.
Look, I know that Ty Jerome was really bad in the second round this year, but he was really good up until that point. And I know we only played like 19, 20 minutes a game, and your best players are Garland and Mitchell, so you don't have a ton of minutes for him anyway. But like, I would have absolutely brought him back at that number. Like,
yeah, I mean,
Lonzo doesn't play games, dude. Like, how are we comparing him to NBA players who play games? Lonzo played like.
That feels harsh.
I like Lonzo, but like Lonzo, if you watch Lonzo last year, it was just obvious he's not the same level of player he used to be. Yeah. And then like Ty Jerome was objectively better.
Yeah.
I think that everyone's overrating the Lonzo Ball acquisition a lot. And it breaks my heart to say he should have been an all-time role player, but it's just not, we're thinking of Lonzo Ball in 2021.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a good player, though. I mean, like, he's a smart player. Him and Nance are both smart guys, and
I have always
minutes when healthy.
I've always had a real soft spot for Larry Nance, but like Rob Williams, he just literally cannot play like any amount of games in a row. So yeah, I think this is a D, to be honest. Like, which feels harsh because they didn't really do anything wrong, but
they shouldn't. Yeah, I mean, like, look, losing Ty Jerome isn't the end of the world.
Yeah,
I also just think he's a good player, and like they got rid of a good player for a bunch of question marks. Is my thing.
Yeah,
so
that was a good idea. I mean, D. Do you think I'm wrong with D? I mean, we could say C too.
We'll say C. This is a little bit of we're copying out on a lot of these, but we got 3 left. 3 very interesting teams here. The Mavs, like, do we give the Mavs credit? Like, they got Cooper Flag. Okay, cool. Who wouldn't have done that if they had the first pick in the draft? The D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's really good. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that I have to give him credit that I did think that getting him for like what $5 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Solid signing. Like, really. They only lost Spencer Dinwiddie. They brought back Kyrie on extension. He won't play next year, really, but they brought him back to play with Cooper Flag after that. The only thing with their offseason is like, can you make this team make sense?
What the fuck? Oh my God. I just heard the voice of God, and he said that this is the 5th seed in the Western Conference. That was so weird. Did you guys hear that? Did you hear God calling down that there is one God, and Muhammad is his prophet, but his second prophet is, well, no, I can't say that. But let's just, Cooper Flag's good.
Like, yeah, I don't want to offend the entire.
I don't want to offend anyone. Yeah, I don't want to offend anyone. But Cooper Flag's really good. So look, I mean, D'Angelo Russell gives them the guard thing was what I was worried about. I think this is going to be like a decent-ish defense, as decent as a defense with Klay Thompson and D'Angelo Russell as their point of attack could be. But I mean, that back line is just going to be money moves.
Dude, like, it is insane. They are the exact opposite of the Sixers in terms of we have Anthony Davis. All of our best players are guards, the Sixers, and all of their best players are functionally bigs.
Yeah,
like it's like Anthony Davis, Cooper. I know Flag's a wing, but like, come on. Lively, Gafford, PJ Washington, who's a 4. Like, it is kind of crazy. Like, I've literally thought about sending Grimes back there to get PJ Washington, so the Sixers make more sense. But that's never gonna happen.
Did they extend Kyrie, or am I hallucinating? They did, right?
They did. Yeah, 3 years.
I kind of like that too. Keep Kyrie in the building. Why not? Like, because that wasn't a max, if I remember correctly.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Keep Kyrie, they're like, I think they did. I'm going to say B. I feel pretty strongly it was a B.
All right. I don't know. Make the team make more sense to me. Like, don't have all of your best players as wings and bigs. Trade one of the wings for a guard. It's the easiest thing in the world to get a guard right now. And like they're not like untouchably good players like Najee Marshall or PJ Washington. I just would try to trade one of those guys to go get like a like could you could you call the Kings and be like, give us a first round, we'll send you PJ Washington and you send us Malik Monk and an unprotected first?
I mean, like, look, that's fine, but why do you want 3 primary ball handlers on one team?
With D'Lo, Cooper
Monk
Flag.
And Cooper Flag. Yeah.
No, I mean, Flag will be running a lot of offense for them. I'm not saying that he won't be, and I think that he should. But I also think that, like, having Najee Marshall, it basically makes half of your roster worthless.
Yeah. Should they get Anthony Simons for, like, Gafford and no, not even Gafford.
No, not Simons.
They don't even have I don't know what else. Yeah.
He makes too much money. But yeah, all right. So I'll put them in B for you. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
I'll toss
Let's
it to you. Chat's gonna hate that, but they'll live with it.
Yeah.
The Pistons kind of had their whole offseason plan completely flipped on its head because Malik Beasley is involved in some sort of scheme. Which
is in a Coen Brothers movie right now.
Yeah.
He was being chased by dentist Sugar.
Which is incredibly unfortunate.
It's not good.
By the way, he doesn't even show up when you're on the NBA transaction site because he's still free agent.
Man.
All right. So they re-signed Paul Reed on a 2-year deal. They brought back they sent out Simone Fontecchio, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Dennis Schroeder walked in free agency. By the way, didn't they generate a big trade exception? They sent a 2nd-round pick to create a trade exception for Dennis Schroeder.
Yes, I believe that's true.
Okay,
yes.
Yep. So they have a TPE for you little pervert.
Yummy.
And then they got Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert, the former Michigan teammates, now going back to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't draft anyone, right? That's it.
Correct?
I think that's it.
That's fine. The Duncan Robinson contract initially, I was like, gross, but then I found out it was like non-guaranteed. Like
they drafted Chaz Lanier, whatever.
Chaz Lanier, okay, whatever.
2nd-round pick. Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think it's a fine offseason. Get Jaden Ivey healthy next year. Make some money moves.
Where are we putting them?
C, I think, right?
Yeah, sure.
Does that feel right? Yeah.
It feels very much like the guy who got a T-shirt on, or he got a shirt for Christmas, but he already is wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
I'm like, sure. Like we moved some guys around, and we got this guy, we lost this guy, and who cares? Like honestly, none of this matters.
They should try to trade Beef Stew. They should try to rip off a team for Beef Stew, I think.
I kind of like Beef Stew for them. I've kind of come all the way around on him.
Oh, I like him too, but I'm just saying, like, I think you don't want to be paying Beef Stew his next contract.
Well, he's already on a 3-year deal. I think he's got 2 years left.
That's what I'm saying. Now's the time. Like, I'm just anyway.
Sacramento Kings, our last team.
I don't want to do this. I just feels mean. Like I don't.
First off, the fact that they haven't done the Kuminga thing yet is it's kind of like the Giddey thing where it's like you haven't done the dumbest thing you could possibly do.
You know it's coming though. Like this is like Dr. Manhattan. I've lived in all of these timelines. Like the year is 2027. Jonathan Kuminga has been extended on his $45 million a year contract. It's 2000. It's 2014. The Kings have just selected Georgios Papagiannis with the 13th pick.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for Kings fans, man. Like this is.
You don't need. This to do is this. Like we're 3 hours in. You don't need to do. You feel bad. We know. Everyone knows.
I know. I'm sorry. So I'll just rip the Band-Aid off. This is an F.
Dude, I'm sorry. It could be so much worse for them. Like it really could be like they got in there, they overpay and decided to trade for Kuminga. They signed Russell Westbrook in addition to Dennis Schroeder, and they like give up a ton of value to do it and just create the grossest team that's ever existed. But I'm kind of proud of the fact that they're like, you know what, we're gonna wait. They drafted Nick Clifford. I like the Nick Clifford pick. That's fine. That's
Huge 3 by Chris Paul to cut the lead to 40.
They're gonna be gross, dude. They're gonna be gross, but also like they tried to do worse. Like they tried to just give away Malik Monk. They tried to be like they're
gonna. The Kuminga deal is gonna happen. I'm sorry. Like, oh no. Like,
I will say, all right, we'll put them in.
They're already trying to trade DeRozan and Levine after they like went out of their way to get them on the team last year. Dude, they suck so bad.
They signed Dennis Schroeder, dude.
Oh my God.
Dennis Schroeder has played for 12 teams in the NBA now. I think he's getting close to Ish Smith's record. And they gave him like $45 million. Now the last year isn't fully guaranteed, but I was blown away by their ability to do Kings things, even when I feel like it could have been so much worse. This team is going to be so gross next. It is going to be, I'm not going to be able to look away. Like I'll probably watch more Kings games than any team other than the Sixers next year.
Man,
they honestly should just lean into the bit and sign Westbrook.
Yeah.
I think they should. I think they should just
why
be like,
not? Who fucking cares? Like, it's like I remember. Look, there's twins. Remember when the Suns did that with the Morrises? For like when they were like really bad, they were just like, "Oh, we got twins,
right?
Twins, Basil, twins." Like,
what if we just keep signing the grossest possible basketball players to add to a team that is built around DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Sabonis?